Thursday,
We
May
are
4th, 2017, let this meeting of the Tilton Selectmen come to order. Let the record show that Ashley will not be with us tonight. The rest of the board is here, and shall we stand to do the pledge of allegiance, please?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thanks. 5 o'clock is our first. Let's see if we can get the minutes done. Is that okay? Minutes? I haven't read these yet. Isn't there two T's in Breton?
You start with
I
April
don't
27th.
believe so.
April 27th.
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
No? I don't really know.
There is only one, Breton Construction LLC.
Nice.
Second sentence,
Second sentence.
move and after the comma after fog and strike Selectman John Scanlon. Because you contradict otherwise.
Say what now?
John wasn't present. On your list of who's present, you've got him listed and then down under your second
Ah,
sentence.
John, sorry. Thank you, Peter.
No problem. Trying to find the one I read earlier. I had one other minor thing. Of course, when you need it, you can never find it.
We've got to address the ramp.
Huh?
I was hoping all 5 selectmen would be here to address the ramp. But we really need to address it, so we'll have to do it tonight. Should we say something in that conversation about Winnisquam that we had Tim Bernier set those granite bounds?
We can. Isn't that,
That was a motion.
the 5 granite markers?
Yes, I believe there was a motion.
Yes, it's
Yes,
there.
it's
Is it
there.
there? Have I just not gone for it far enough?
Page 2,
Yeah.
Selectmen also
RFP
moved.
for Winnisquam paving
Oh, there it
project.
is, there
They're
it
in bold.
is. Add to the survey plan, the 5 granite markers to, sorry, I skipped right over it. Thank you.
Should we also say something in there too, that he actually was going to physically set them in the ground?
Oh, that's why I asked that, because it says add to the survey plan. That wasn't the motion. The motion was to have him place
Set
the
them,
markers
set.
as per the survey plan.
Right.
Okay,
Set 5 granite markers
Right.
as per
as per.
the survey plan.
But I do remember that was a pretty convoluted motion.
Thank you. Set markers as per survey plan.
Yeah. And then down below it says Selectman Dawson said they would not be removing the grassed area at this time. That was a consensus of the board,
Okay.
but it's not Selectman Dawson said. And I don't think that was part of the motion, was it?
It's not. That was part of the discussion.
That discussion took place quite a while ago. The consensus of the board, we took a consensus, an actual consensus on whether the grass was going to stay.
Last week.
No, we took,
Yeah, because Joyce was asking about the,
When did we have this, when did we go out, when did we get the survey?
Last week?
Last week.
Thursday during the day, 3:30.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so last week's meeting.
I'm talking about a different place.
Oh.
I'm in a different place. Good.
Okay. Should we join you, or?
No,
Oh, okay.
no, that's all right. You don't want to join where I'm at right now. Not a pretty place.
I was questioning the need to have 6 full-time people.
Where's that?
I'm still on page 2, under
Okay.
Porter paving sidewalk update.
Mm-hmm.
The Selectman Dawson questioned the need to have 5 full-time people, it was 6 full-time people. I emphasize I wouldn't segregate my authority whatsoever, especially anything to do with parks. It wasn't just for parks. I made the example if something was, imminent, like we have water leaks at Riverfront Park. They're not things that can wait to go through a third person.
Right.
So
for
that was just an example I used. But
anything,
my
so scratch to do with parks?
yeah,
Anything emergent?
emphasize she would not segregate my authority.
When something like that happens, once you call him, do you also call Joyce and let him know that you've talked to
Nope.
Brock about it?
No, I leave that up to Brock. Once I've called him and told him, I've delivered the message, it's up to him to decide if it's something he's gonna do on his own, contact Joyce to take care. I don't basically micromanage him and tell him how to do it, I just let him know that this has taken place.
But how does the board know whether or not it's something that the Parks Commission needs to take care of versus the town of Tilton needs to take care of?
I leave it up to Brock, the department head.
He doesn't know. How would he know? He doesn't know the difference between what the Parks Commission's responsibilities are in the town of Tilton. He hasn't experienced that yet.
I don't know.
I mean,
if he
if a
said-
selectman is calling him up and saying, do this, do this, do this,
Oh, I don't tell him do this. I call him up and say, well, when I call him up for things in the park, for example, now I know what, they take care of the maintenance of the structures, and the park commissioners try to do everything else. Like right now, for example, I have a list. I'm gonna run it by Paul Rushlow now that he started. And even if there are some structural things that he can do that would normally be public works, if he'll do them, I'll let him do them, because it takes it off of him. So when I call Public Works Director on some malfunction at the park, I know that it has to do with maintenance. I'm not gonna call him and say the weeding didn't get done, or the irrigation hasn't been turned on. I'm gonna tell him something structural. Or, there's a tree across the road on, whatever street, or, catch basin is given way on whatever street, do you know what I mean? But I don't feel, I've never in all these years called a plethora of people. It's up to the department head do I leave it with? What's their responsibility? And maybe it's I've never been a selectman that had to know everything that was going on. I figure if it's important enough for me to know as a selectman, somebody's gonna tell me. And if they don't, then I didn't need to know. I mean, that's what we have department heads for, right? Just my opinion.
Well, it depends, because we have a delineation of responsibility with Parks Commission versus the town of Tilton in the park. So there's two responsibilities there. We have a responsibility and they have a responsibility. Yeah, I get you come across a catch basin, you come across a tree across the road, you come across, I've done that several times. I understand that completely, but when it comes to the park, you just can't pick up the phone and call Brock and say, hey, you know, this is malfunctioning, and it's really a responsibility of the Parks Commission, because she's not going to know the difference between that.
So do we wait a month to address the issue if it arises on the second Tuesday of the month and we met the night before?
Well, it's like, that we've had one toilet was leaking, that got fixed. Second toilet was leaking, that got fixed. The hot water heater was leaking, that hasn't been fixed. But those are water issues. So I know for a fact that that's maintenance that Public Works does. They turn the water on, they turn the water off. So by calling them up Friday evening, when I discovered that the hot water heater was not working, somebody was able to go over there and shut the water off. If I had called the park commissioners, they would have gone, well, I don't know, how do you shut the water off? You know, what do we do? So, I mean, maintenance of the structures has always been Public Works. So, maintenance of the structures, I call Public Works. Unless, like I say, Paul Rushlow is on the job now, and there's a lot of things that he will do that are maintenance of the structure that takes the load off the Public Works for the summer. So,
No, it's Conservation Commission. If we have, see, like I think there was a little sinkhole, well, a growing sinkhole.
mm-hmm.
Is that something that the Conservation Commission should contact the Public Works directly and tell them to go up there and do?
No,
No,
That's
you should
public
call
hearing.
Joyce.
But
Joyce.
see, that's a public emergency though,
Well,
because somebody can step in that, right?
Yep.
I mean, if we use the same scenario, that
Mhm.
would be the same type of thing. Or like
you said a little sinkhole.
I didn't even look at it.
Oh,
I heard it was a lot, the picture didn't look big. You know, and there's occasionally like a Buffalo Park, which is a conservation commission, a conservation area, everybody. Sometimes a tree or a branch will fall down in the parking lot. Do we call Brock and tell him to clean up the parking lot? Or do we tell Joyce to send one of the guys up?
if it's not an immediate, safety issue, or, water's running in the park that we're paying for, then I would call Joyce.
It's
But
an
if you have an
emergency.
immediate safety issue and, Public Works is responsible for that maintenance, I would call them as soon as possible.
If I'm at the senior center and I see an immediate safety issue, there's a piece of the roof hanging down that it could fly off at any minute and hit somebody, or there's something in the pathway that's sinkhole, whatever, it doesn't matter. I'm still going to call Joyce, because that really is...
That's your choice.
Well, that's what we created as a policy for the Board of Selectmen. The board created that policy. We did.
I'm the one that suggested it, and the reason I stated it when I said we should have Joyce's liaison was because so many requests come from Town Hall to move desks and bookcases and whatever, that Public Works was being inundated by these types of requests from various, departments in Town Hall, and they should all be funneled through Joyce. It would be easier for Public Works. And I said at that time, and I've said it last week and I'll say it now, I'm not going to subrogate my authority as a selectman to communicate with department heads.
So it's okay for all of us to call Joyce when there's to go through Brock so that he can get the work and get everything done that he needs to get done through Joyce, but it's not okay for you to do that.
I'm a selectman, that's my choice.
Well, I'm a selectman too, and
Well, then make the choice. You can either, if you choose to subrogate your authority to Joyce, go right ahead and do so.
then we
I
shouldn't
choose
have
not
that
to.
policy.
So you want
We
every
should-
single request from any department in town hall to be able to call Public Works.
I think the default should be to call Joyce, and if she's not available, then to, in
You
an
have to
emergency
remember
situation, to contact
That
Brock.
when we created the liaison positions, 12, 13 years ago, it was, the liaison position is only a position of communication. So that
Some
you
of
don't
us
have,
should, right.
you know, like, if something happens, major event, Brock calls Joyce. He doesn't call 5 selectmen and Joyce, he calls Joyce. Joyce communicates to us. That particular position was, I think, just as liaison. I added on to it, as I said, because at the time, we were having everybody and their brother in town hall calling up to rearrange furniture. It was insane. But as a selectman, I don't choose to subrogate my authority to do it. It's just that simple. But
If we sit here on a Thursday evening and we ask Brock to take care of, a number of different things, hey, Brock, this has come to our attention, we need this, and this done. And then the following week, he, comes to us and, well, yeah, but I've got a few calls that, Catherine's called me to do this, and this. When does that end? I mean, if you're
when
calling
I'm no
him...
longer a selectman, and I don't mean to be facetious, but when I'm no longer a selectman. If I've got a leaking hot water heater at Riverfront Park, I'm not gonna call Joyce because she doesn't know how to turn the water off. Public Works does. If I have a leaking toilet at Riverfront Park, I'm not gonna call Joyce because she can't resolve the issue. It needs to have immediate action. I don't call Brock because the landscaper hasn't weeded the flower beds properly or for silly things. And I also don't micromanage him. I call him up and let him know this is the issue.
So it's okay.
I don't even require him to report back to me. But like I said, each of you can decide among for yourself what you're going to do. If you want to subrogate your authority, that's your choice. Any other correction or changes to the minutes of April 27th? Motion to accept the minutes of April 27th, 2017.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I was not there.
Opposed? Abstain? Motion carries. Jim, come on up.
I don't want to.
Oh, Joe, do you have a question?
I do have a question. I heard you say that something about subjugating your authority as a selectman to call the Public Works Department, the Police Department, and so forth. It seems like I read somewhere that no selectman has authority to do anything except for what you're doing right here, right now. No individual selectman has authority. Now, I understand what you were saying about, I got an emergency and the water's leaking all over the floor. Who are you gonna call? You're gonna call the source, and I get that. But I was just curious about your subjugating your authority. What authority are you talking about specifically?
Communication as a selectman, I don't know. I subrogate my authority as a selectman.
But again, maybe I'm missing something. It says that
Well-
the selectmen have no authority except as a board,
To make decisions, you're correct.
including what to do with the Public Works Department in any given time, right? It's a conundrum, isn't it?
It is interesting. It's an interesting point. But I think when we have emergent needs like that, I'm not going to be calling up a third person when I need to have water shut off.
I get that.
But that's an interesting point. It is a very interesting point.
Well, there you go. Food for thought. I planted a seed, I'm on my way.
I'm writing it down, Joe.
Yeah, good deal.
That's a conversation with local government center. Jim,
Hi, we're missing Ashley. This is Mark.
how do you do?
I don't know if you've met everybody, but
I
John
don't think I have
Scanlon,
John
John
Scanlon.
Kathy
Preston
Lawson,
Preston, how do you do?
Ed Constantino, and Civil Commission.
Okay.
Okay.
Ashley's up for the
So I'm assuming we're in deliberative session and the microphones are off and there's no recordings.
Microsoft is, the
microphone is on. We're in public session,
Oh, we are? Okay.
so we can,
Oh,
I mean,
you
we're
were.
here to listen.
Yes.
If you would like us to go into non-public, because we're going to talk about, pardon?
Joyce part of this?
I don't know, she's not here.
Where's she?
Where's,
Downstairs. She should be right back.
Yeah, thanks.
if you would like us to go into non-public, because some of what you just are going to talk about is private personal information, you can do that.
I don't think, I think it's mostly all public, except that when,
Just a separate
if it's,
discussion.
if it's
Joyce?
deliberative for the settlement discussion, it would not be
Joyce?
public, I think. I think that the town would probably want it to be a private session because it deals with money.
And was Joyce still there?
So you're telling me you want this in non-public? I mean,
If you're actually going to make a deliberation, yes. If you're going to
Just listen.
just listen and as to what we have to say and deliberate in the future, talk to, because I also know that besides Ashley, we're missing
Lauren?
Joyce?
Lauren, yes, and Joyce, the assessor, Lauren.
Oh,
Martin. So, and I understand she was going to be here.
No, I saw her on Tuesday. She said she was not.
She said she wasn't at the last minute, but she agreed to come.
No, we're not.
well, we're having the
non-public.
discussion on whether or not this should be non-public or not.
Okay.
Probably it should be public if Lauren and Ashley wish to listen to it, you know, review it. I think that would be good. And then if they decide,
As long as
we can proceed from
we
there.
don't deliberate on this and discuss.
And deliberate in the future. Okay, makes sense.
All right,
Okay, you're probably familiar with this building. It's assessed for $973,000, and the 2015 ratio is 0.954, which is an equivalent market value of $1,000,000. And a couple of things I'd like to talk about this building. When it comes to real estate, location is everything. If this building were in Concord, I do believe it would be $1 million building. In Tilton, it's a $500,000 building, and in Berlin, New Hampshire, it'd be a $250,000 building. Because of rents and vacancies, it's just not as valuable as it's assessed for. I sent a link to Joyce a week or two ago to download the appraisal. I don't know if any of you, if she got to forward that to you folks. So we had hired Charles Schubert from AER, Applied Economic Research, to do an appraisal for the property. And his value came out at $530,000. And so it sounds like none of you got the link then to download it.
I got it.
You got it? Okay. I don't know if you had any questions about it or, okay. The other thing that I had done is I went and looked at some of the downtown sales, and on this sheet, kind of in the center, there's an asking price for a property that was assessed for $78,000. It's 315 Main Street. It was on the market asking $49,000. I think Lauren has since reduced the assessment to something in the $50,000 range. But we have 486 Main Street. assessed for 107,000, sold for 65,000. We have 276 Main Street that was assessed for 225,000, sold for 86,000. We have 295 to 297 Main Street that was assessed for 357,600, sold for 140. That was the bank and the parking lot. It was 2 lots on there. It has since sold again. The 263, 273 Main Street was assessed for 423, sold for 280,000. And 407 Main Street was assessed for 352, sold for 100,000. 4 Prospect Street, which is just right on the corner of Main Street. You can actually throw a stone from Main Street and hit it. So it was assessed for 181,600 and sold for 71,500. So I did put some notes on some of those sales that, if you want, I can go over them. But I think there's a problem with the downtown assessments for these commercial properties. The sale prices are coming in significantly below the assessed values. Our appraiser used rents and sales from the Lakes region. Did not go outside of Tilton and Franklin and Laconia for his comps. So I think that's a legitimate area to cover. We have an appeal pending, and the Board of Tax and Land Appeals sends out settlement meeting orders requiring the parties to meet and have settlement discussions. Lauren, Martin, Jim, and I went to the Board of Tax and Land Appeals, and we were viewed by Tom Hughes, who was the appraiser for the board, overviewing just our settlement discussions. And we were up there for a good half an hour, batting things around, and we came to a proposed settlement of $750,000. And we asked, Lauren said that she could propose that to the selectmen. And so that was something that we were concerned about, because it turns out that she had supposedly proposed it, and the selectmen denied it, and I was hoping she would be here, because she said she could, during our meeting, she said she could recommend it. So
She said she would recommend.
she would, yeah, would recommend it, okay. So I don't know what transpired with the Board of Selectmen and her. We thought, well, actually we thought 750 was high based on our appraisal, but we had hoped that we could stop fighting this, because we've been fighting it for a while, and we do believe that it's a $500,000 property. And until the rents get higher and the vacancies get better, Mr. Cropsey is losing money on the property every year. He's not making money on it. And I don't know if you have any questions, or if Jim, if you want to add anything.
Well, I was going to mention that if you do the comparison on the property Riverfront Place, that assessment comes out to be $49 a square foot for the above grade property. So that's $49 a square foot, not including the lower level or the basement. If you take just the average of the sales that have gone on in town, just average them, you'll find that they work out to be $25 per square foot on an average. And if you take that average and multiply it by our square footage, you'll come up with about $525,000 for assessed valuation. So it's, I think it underscores where Mr. Schubert was with the analysis that was sent. Neither one of us are happy. I remember Lauren was not happy with the settlement. We're not happy with the settlement either. We've agreed to it. But we think that the property is worth less than $750,000. Lauren continues to assert that it's worth more, but at some point in time, it's not worth a continual battle to try to get that reduced, because we'll just keep going until we think we have been successful.
We should add too that when we talked with Lauren, we said that $750,000 we would not pursue it
For future years.
Until
Until the next
reassessment.
I believe it was 740,000 she came to us
What
with.
is that? Okay. All right.
But the effective market value, I think, was 786.
Well, yeah, it'd be a little, that would be on 750, it was
Oh,
740.
750, so
So
it'd
you
be a
have to
little
take,
bit lower.
have to take 740 divided by .954.
Okay.
So basically, the state is saying the assessments should be about 5% below market value. Be fair.
So the proposed 750,000, that's the proposal for the assessed value,
The assessed value, although we
Not-
thought it was 740.
not the equalized value.
No,
It's for the
that's
assessed
assessed value, so it'd be times 105 would give you a rough market value on that.
And you're basing your opinion on that?
Also, what the other properties that are sold, they're all selling significantly below their assessed values.
Which you have the data for, and I'm sure Lauren's had an
Okay.
opportunity to start reviewing those sales.
Okay. Does anybody have any questions of clarification or? No? Is there any more information you want to provide us?
Maybe a question, I know typically wondering how you deal with assessment recommendations. Is it usually a kind of give and take there is? I don't know if that's anything you can share with us.
Just a basic process of hearing testimony, having conversations with our assessor, our town administrator, reviewing documents that are presented, and then coming to a conclusion. And just like you would, you know, just gather all the evidence, read it, and thank you for compiling this. I don't think I've seen this history, but there you go.
Right?
No, that's not part of the report, that's,
Yeah.
Okay.
I did file a lot of this with the abatement, the 2016 abatement application. I made a couple of changes for today. But the bank property, at the time, it was under contract. The contract fell through. It has since sold again for, I think it's 170 something. So a little bit discrepancy of what actually transpired from when I first did this.
Yeah.
But it's still a lot of the same information.
Can you send a copy of this over?
Electronically?
Yeah, electronically.
Yeah.
I just have so many papers, I like to file things on there.
Do you want to give me your email?
Or so I'll
Send it
just
to
like-
Joyce,
Yeah,
yeah.
send it to Joyce and she.
Okay.
Just townadmin@tiltonnh.org.
So your settlement offer is 750,000.
It was 740.
Okay.
Well, what this one here is saying
I
proposed
thought-
settlement of
Right, but what they
750.
came, if I remember what she came
Could be.
before us was
Maybe I missed
740.
it. Okay, I could be misinterpreting it. My
But
recollection.
So-
Lauren has
my
suggested, Lauren said it was 740.
750,
Right.
740,
Okay.
750.
She came before us at 740, that's why I asked her.
Right.
You know, it's,
I mean, it's,
She relayed back to us it was 740.
okay, we would be happy with either number, 740 or 750.
It's still not an exact split. The town does more favorably on this adjustment than we do. We'd also like not to go to the board again, and I think the town might appreciate not going to the board again.
It's expensive.
Yeah.
litigation can be, but
Oh, yeah.
we'll have to weigh all these facts.
Very good. Any questions that you might have?
Anyone?
Oh.
Have they given you any idea when it would go before the BTLA?
No, I just got some hearing notices for some Wolfboro properties for August. So my guess is that it would not be before August unless something gets settled there's an opening.
Okay.
The board usually gives 3 months' notice, 3 months' notice for hearings.
Yeah, so that you can come up with your
So
own appraisal.
certainly it wouldn't be within the next 3 months, but the hearing notices that I just got are for August.
Okay. So it's just 14 and 15 now, filed for 16, and I think we have a 16.
You have filed for 16?
Yeah.
for the board, but.
No, I meant, and now I'm talking
We've
about the,
agreed that until the next reassessment.
until next.
So if this gets settled, you're gonna come back again in 17 and 18,
No,
and
when is the next revaluation?
2019.
so you're gonna come back in
So
19.
It depends on what number comes out in 2019.
Yeah.
I mean, if it's a fair number, you won't hear from us.
And we have this appraisal report, Joe?
We should have the list.
Yes.
Yeah, we do.
Yep. Yeah, I sent you all the link,
Yeah.
and then I just printed out one copy.
Yeah, I don't print out documents that size, so, okay.
Try not to as well.
I just printed this out for
Great.
today. I had been using
Thank
it
you.
electronically for,
Is that a copy you can have with
yeah,
us?
yeah, certainly.
That
If you
would be
want,
great.
yeah, not a problem.
Homework,
There you go, you can mark it up.
take printed copy.
Exactly.
Thank you.
It is helpful with highlighter.
Well, I've highlighted my computer screen enough times, so thankfully it comes off.
Very good.
All right, anything else, anybody?
Nope.
Well, thank you so much for coming in.
Thank
you.
It was nice to meet you.
Good. We're hoping to help.
Jim, always a pleasure.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Ah, thanks.
And I'll let you know on the snowdrops.
Yes.
The park commissioners meet Monday.
That's not a park.
Oh.
That's the conservation area.
Oh,
And John can maybe tell you a little bit,
Oh.
I have some extra galanthus or snowdrops, and I was going to put them around the park. I was gonna put them randomly, and then I had the thought that it would be a nice way to work around that avalanche for
oh, that would be nice.
Jim Dodge.
Yeah.
Be the first pop in the spring, there'd be just a nice grouping right there.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, whatever the Conservation Commission deems they don't want to do for that property, we leave it up to them.
oh, okay. Very good.
But I'm all for
Well,
it.
then I'll wait to hear from John.
Around the tree is great. Thank you, Jim.
We've got a weekend
Thank you.
coming up.
Thank you, thanks, Barb.
We'll see.
Yep.
Take care.
For some reason, I have read this, but on May 1st, and I knew it was around May, I don't have it here in the list of things at all.
It isn't in the Google Drive?
Yeah.
No, I emailed the link.
No, not the appraisal, the Lawrence.
Letter, yes.
Peter just forwarded it again to me, I got it. It was to the board,
Hmm?
but I cannot find it anywhere in even going up against, putting in Lauren and putting in Joyce,
Did you try
putting in
MC&G?
MC&G. I've done everything to
It's
pull it up
received May 1st.
under Google, and then just looking at my inbox under May 1st, I don't have it. So he just resent it. I read it.
Yeah.
I read it the day you sent
Did
it,
you look in your trash?
so I knew I had it. I
I
don't delete.
accidentally,
Trust me, I don't delete it. In my inbox, I had 1,000 too. I don't delete anything. Nothing. It's in trash. There's 0 in my trash right now. I don't know where it is.
we're still on camera, right?
Mhm.
Yes. Yes, we did non-public. We did really well with listening. Very pertinent information. So,
I can go into.
now that
if
we've
you'd
had
like.
this meeting, next step, have a conversation with Lauren, because now they're gonna be looking for a result of this
Yeah.
celebration. Should we?
And that's why she wrote her letter.
Well,
That's her recommendation.
This letter.
are you talking about the one dated April 25th?
Yes, and we received it May 1st. and
Right.
I emailed it out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I do have that.
So it takes
figured
some
out.
digesting, maybe we could wait till towards the end of the meeting and go
Mhm.
Go through what?
through it.
Her letter? Her letter is a history.
No, she's recommending. There's a recommendation.
Yeah.
She says at a minimum. I didn't see a good solid But okay, so you want to discuss it non-public later, is that what you're saying? Okay,
Do you want to do that, or do we want to wait and have Ashley review this and that and do a non-public next week?
That would be good, because, like, that's why I asked him when the hearing was, so it's still on.
Maybe get back to Lauren as to,
Yes, I don't know.
Catherine's right, she doesn't give a definitive, she doesn't give a definitive, this is what I feel, she kind of says, at minimum, I agree with this. You see where she says it?
Yes, we can, I spoke with her today,
Okay, well then you've got additional information, we should do a non-public.
but we can wait till next week.
let's, yeah, if
I'd like to
everybody-
hear that though, let's do it non-public later and then pass it on to Ashley. Along with, and then take it up next week.
Do we need to have Lauren in next week? No. Okay. I just didn't want to repeat it, so we could just have a brief explanation maybe tonight, and then go in depth next week, because John's right.
Yeah.
It's an important
We
conversation.
can throw some stuff around
And since it's
tonight.
there's gonna be another one. Well, there already is.
Right.
Okay, that's a plan. All right, good. Dari, our town planner.
Did you get a chance to read those?
Yeah, I mean,
Oh, I mean, I'm sure there'll be some minor tweaking. I have an ad, I haven't run the ad yet. Oh, it's the chords.
I always know.
If this table were back about a foot, the cords would lie on the floor and we wouldn't be tripping over them and we could walk.
Yeah, why don't
Didn't
we-
the table get moved?
It
forward?
did,
Were
be-
we back?
We were back a
Oh,
little bit.
probably
Okay.
because they did the table.
Right, yeah.
Oh, I don't
That's
know.
all right, I can still pick up the old dogs.
I'll bet some of us could move it back this way, they don't. Okay, shall we start with,
The one that got the most major revisions was building inspector, code enforcement officer.
oh, I thought town planner did.
I think probably building inspector had the most notes
Yeah.
on it, just because we were starting from that raw document
Right.
from so many years ago. I mean, what Joyce and I worked on, mostly Joyce, was basically just bringing in everything we talked about 2 weeks ago. So that was what, you know, Joyce, unless you disagree, I mean, I think that was the extent of the work done. We
Is
did-
there any need to go through each one of these job descriptions again? Have
Well-
you made the changes that we all recommended? Did you feel you wanted to leave some out and have a conversation about it, or?
I don't think any changes were made. Every single change I made, and I think
And then one of the planner,
you did.
I'm sorry, building inspector, code enforcement officer, was I included in there that he assists goes on inspections with the health officer when requested.
But other than that, I think it was
That's the only
just
thing I
following
added.
up on what we talked about.
Okay.
Because that is
Does anyone here feel we need to go through these job descriptions again?
I would like some time to read them and then maybe perhaps vote on them next week.
That's what I was, yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Just,
All right.
right.
Should we have a conversation? Shall we move on to the next part of
I
this?
just had a question on it. Is the building inspector, code enforcement officer responsible for any type of inspections or checking for code enforcement or anything on wetlands issues?
Yeah, you'll
Is that
see,
covered under primary duties?
there are some things added along those lines. You know, I think in Well, actually, now that you mention it, that's
Well,
something
within
I
the
added.
zoning ordinances, we have a wetlands
Right,
portion, which
right.
he would be responsible for enforcing, would
It's
he not?
true. He would, and I should mention, when you asked if anything was added, I did add one other thing. I think the fourth primary duty, fourth and fifth, I think were really largely meant to hit on enforcing the full language of the zoning ordinance, including wetlands, including groundwater protection. And that's clearly the enforcement and the routine kind of inspections that should be done to manage that. And then also, Selectman Scanlon had requested that the town planner be required to inform the Conservation Commission of wetlands violations. And I also took the liberty of adding some language for the building inspector, code enforcement officer, and I wrote, informs town planner and Conservation Commission of all complaints and violations with potential natural resource impacts. And then under planner, I think Joyce added basically exactly what you had requested, that the town planner notifies the Conservation Commission of pending wetlands violations.
I have a question on the primary duty, since you brought it up. Why in the 1, 2, 3, 4th bullet is he enforcing housing rental standards ordinances?
Well,
When
that
it's the
ties
health
in,
officer.
right, so when the health officer, would he be going with you in some of these inspections?
Not necessarily. I always let him know when I'm doing an inspection of a building that he may not have entered.
Yeah.
And he typically hasn't been into a lot of buildings that haven't had any additions or building permits issued to them. So it gives them an opportunity to look at that building from that perspective. But he's not the person who's enforcing the housing rental standard ordinance. The health officer and the life safety for the district.
So,
So, and the one underneath it,
Yeah.
I've also highlighted.
Okay. I think that makes sense. So even though he may be enforcing building codes because he's on an inspection, that's because it's a housing inspection, he's still just enforcing building codes. He's not
Right,
actually.
and it
yeah.
gets complicated when you take the building codes and apply them to health
Right.
officer inspections,
Yep.
because, a building code could say a minimum of 7 feet ceiling height. Well, it also says in there that you're not gonna make an old Victorian house who's been there for 100 years, all of a sudden raise their ceilings because there's,
Right.
not quite 7 inches, there's 6.
The old Victorians, like 10, 12 feet tall.
Well,
They got the other problem.
that's true. But as an example, do you see what I mean? So,
Yeah, right.
but it gives
Yeah.
him an opportunity, I think, to look at these houses.
Right,
With a building
right.
code enforcer out.
Yeah, okay.
All right.
It's like it says assist town health officer upon request to conduct inspections. And that's fine to
Yeah.
leave it that way, but it's really more the other way around. I assist him by getting him into the building.
Yeah, right. True.
But, so it's fine as it's written,
Right,
because
okay.
I think the code enforcement officer should see these buildings.
Yeah.
Sometimes we get in a situation where, and it's helpful to have that second set of eyes, because the question comes, do we need to condemn this building?
Right, yeah. It's better not to be
So,
alone
yeah.
on that kind of decision.
But I think
yeah.
these two should be struck from those two, because
Yeah.
he's not directly responsible for enforcing those.
Okay.
There was the other thing was, let's see,
I don't,
making sure it's still in here. I see it in land use technician, building inspector, but I don't see that the town planner is required to read, write, and speak English. I know that you do speak English.
I do okay.
So we're covered so far.
So you want that put in there? I have ability to speak and write effectively.
We can bring these up next week anyway, right?
Yes, we can. All right. Let's move on to the second part of, well, the next part of this, whatever that is. Do you want to talk about how you see the makeup of your office?
The physical layout.
Where you feel it should be, or how you should feel it should be, yes.
Well, yeah, I can't remember if you guys have all received this.
Yes,
I think,
we have.
okay. So it's basically, taking file cabinets out of the existing office and putting the person along that same wall where most of the file cabinets are, and it would be turning the code enforcement officer's desk, so to give that person a little bit more room to function, back their chair up and whatnot.
Where do those file cabinets go to?
Well, yeah, I guess that's a question. To me, they'd be fine if they went in the basement, they'd be fine if they went here, but I'm not sure that that's ideal. Another thing that, we've had some conversation about is just moving the entire land use office right into this area. And I think that's a great idea, actually. It has more square footage, and we need more square footage. So I'd be okay with either, honestly. Those are sort of my two ideas at this point on how it could work. I do believe that the last staff meeting we had, that Johanna, I wasn't there, but I heard that she raised some, she expressed some interest in being included in such, if the land use office were to move up here, that she be consulted. So I just bring that to the select board's attention. Again, I wasn't at the meeting, but I heard that.
So the alternative plan is to come up by you taking the health officer's place as well as the selectman's place?
The whole thing would be my thought.
Where is the health officer gonna go? The stage? So when was this discussed?
This was just discussed as a possibility. It was
Well,
just
when was it discussed as a possibility?
a month ago,
Yeah, it would be a month ago.
about a month ago. And it was a conversation that Dari and I had, and then I mentioned it to Joyce, and as a courtesy, I mentioned it to Johanna. That's why she was aware of it at the meeting, but I said it was just a conversation. There is no action of any way, and it hasn't been brought to the Board of Selectmen. It was just a conversation of possibilities, and that's all it was.
Where would the selectmen go?
Up on the stage, or over here.
Well, if planning comes upstairs, what happens to the room downstairs? Are you two places, or is that
Well,
being vacated?
Yeah, there's
It's a good office.
Tim has expressed a need for a larger office. That would definitely qualify as a larger office.
So then could the selectmen use Tim's office?
Sure, but
If we-
Actually, the welfare is to
Yeah, probably,
express
yeah.
an interest for a
Well,
larger
that
office.
might be, yeah.
And that has two means of egress.
so,
That desk blocking the door.
essentially all those file cabinets could go up on the stage. Conservation has 3 over there, Parks has 1, I have 1, and then there's 2 over here that I guess other selectmen use. But they could all go up on the stage.
So what is it gonna cost us for this? We got the figures yet for the stage and the built-in and the wall and all that?
The only thing that Brock was getting from me was the cost of materials to replace the plastic curtain, and he has not given me those yet.
We haven't got that yet.
He has the materials written down, it's just a matter of doing that.
So if we wall this off, is the access going around, or are we gonna build a stairway up? How will-
There already is a stairway up.
That's what I mean, are we going the back way, or you have to go through that door and up to get there then?
Yeah.
How many offices up there?
For now, I would just be up there.
Just be one open office
One
with
with
selectmen.
storage?
With,
A
yeah,
table if we needed one.
Table.
A desk if we
Yeah.
needed one. Like it is now.
Right.
So moving that as it exists now up
Yeah.
onto the desk.
No, up on the stage.
On the
Yeah.
stage,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I've got an awful
Yes.
headache. So we wouldn't have to do anything additional to heat or air up there. If that wall is up there, or you like to heat in.
I'm allergic to air conditioning, so I would simply open the window and use a fan.
Right, because there's plastic over that window now, we have to do that.
Well, it's sort of plastic. It's coming off. But yes, I mean, that would be, and the heat was repaired up there.
And it would be probably if we closed, well, we don't want to close off that
No,
over there because there's
yeah.
a sink and toilet, and maybe if we drained the water out of that, then we could.
It's fine for me. I mean, if you notice, Johanna and I usually hover around 62, 65 degrees up here in the winter.
The issue that I see with that is that the square footage in that corner right there is not as much square footage as you have downstairs. It looks bigger, but I don't think, it looks bigger, but you don't, with your file cabinets that you have downstairs, and with the traffic that you have, I think that you're going to be still somewhat in a cramped position. I think that you're going to see that you're going to overflow a little bit with your file cabinets and everything. You're still going to try to figure out where you're going to put those file cabinets.
Well, right now,
3 desks and 3 desks with 3 people, and your workstations, I think, would fit comfortably in there. But I don't think all your file cabinets with 3 workstations and 3 people would fit in there.
right now, there are more file cabinets over there than there are in his office currently. So if all of those were moved to the stage, they would have room for even more file cabinets.
I think
You
that's,
already have 3 desks there, plus the credenza, plus a computer table, plus this little table.
Another benefit I see is the use of this table. You
yeah.
have to go and take plans out.
So-
along it.
So then what happens on a Tuesday evening? You have to move all of your things downstairs and you don't have access to your room.
well, you know,
Yeah.
I think the planning board and zoning board probably should be meeting up here.
I'd like to hear that.
Yeah, there's no reason not
Right.
to, yeah.
I've said that for years.
Okay.
It's a bigger table.
I've said it for
more room to-
years, but nobody's
Yeah, you
taken
have.
me up on it. But the problem is, there's no air up here in the summer. And it really can get hot on a Tuesday, on an evening even.
I think with this walled off, that will improve.
Oh,
We lose a lot of the air conditioning because that's not.
You're gonna have to put it, I mean, you're gonna have to be very consistent with the air earlier in the daytime. Well, with Catherine not being over there, you can start it earlier.
right,
Well, it
because-
shouldn't be shut off.
yeah.
Right.
We shut it off.
We just have 3 window air conditioners that govern this room only.
Yeah,
And with that plastic, it sometimes permeates,
Yeah,
goes
right.
through it, and it sometimes gets shut off and it doesn't get turned on. Let's say Catherine's not here, it doesn't get turned on till 2 o'clock in the afternoon
Right.
for a 4 o'clock meeting.
Right.
And it's sometimes hell on a hot day. But you'd have to, if you're here all day long,
Right.
that would serve the purpose, because you would just keep it on during the evening, so you wouldn't have that issue.
yeah,
Or you could default down to go downstairs, which is bad.
on the worst.
But it's so
August nights,
cramped
yeah.
down there. You have
Right.
It
a,
is.
you have a
I'm
I'm
business,
just saying if it's
Right.
real bad,
you have a business that comes in and they've got engineers and they've got the owners and then they have a couple of people and then you have a butters. It fills the room and you
You got
can't,
people walking through.
you can't see the plans. There's posts down there that take that. You'll have a wall here. You'll be able to present something.
project on it.
Right.
That would be nice, be able to project and be able to tell applicants.
That you
we
can
want
have a
bring
projector.
PowerPoint.
Right,
Yeah, right.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. I just think that that's a little bit more professional than.
Yeah.
There are some days in the summer where Johanna has to go home.
Right, but, maybe like Pat said, with 3 people working up here who are all air conditioner users, we'll have
And
more
keep all
consistent.
the fans.
Yeah,
Even over
maybe,
the weekend.
maybe it'll stay cooler through the summer, so, I don't know. I mean, yeah, if it gets unbearable up here, obviously we'll send land use technician home and have them come in a different morning or so, or however we do it, yeah.
Well,
That would free up the space downstairs to move Tim and then to move Heather out of that hole.
But that would be nice to
And then you
move
could
Heather
use-
out of that.
Use that as a storage kind of space, that would be.
Well, it'd be
free
nice
up
to have
some-
the space down there for an actual, yep, what do they call them?
Break room?
Break room.
Out.
And that used to be the break room, but it would be
In
nice.
the corner?
Yeah, it would be nice to have a break room. I mean, we can have a conversation about it later, obviously, when Ashley's here, but I'm not. I mean, Heather's here 3 hours a week.
Which I'd like to talk about later, but that's okay.
To move her into a bigger office doesn't make sense to me, but regardless,
The,
that's a conversation for
I-
later.
As I will just put in my 2 cents, that, I think the room that Al and I are in right now would be very good for a break room, because it's, the disadvantage that it serves now is that you close the door and you're shut off from the rest of the world. That would actually turn into an advantage with the break room. And then it has a lot of wall space. There are no windows. There's one door. So there's a lot of places to place cabinets or whatever, lockers or however we want to do it. A nice little table. So it would be seemingly conducive to that, but that's
Or could we put a
secondary.
window in the door?
Yeah, right, something like that. And maybe eventually put that second
I
door.
can see next year, could we have a gas oven with a little burner, you know,
As long as we have the food preparation
No,
table
no.
up higher.
what's that Japanese grill, a tempanaki or whatever it is?
Hibachi.
In my foul, my grill.
Yeah,
We could get a refrigerator in there, decent
yeah,
refrigerator.
yeah.
Where is the refrigerator anyway?
When have I seen the chief? When have I seen the chief?
Take me.
Oh, yeah, well, you and the chief go.
When,
I'll go with you.
Okay,
Yeah,
we'll go.
tomorrow, let's do it.
So, let's go over this again. What's gonna happen to that room? I mean, I've heard,
I think
I don't
that's.
know.
I think that's to be
That can go.
determined.
Let's have
Yeah,
Ashley
we got-
here.
yeah,
To
we
be
got-
determined.
I think taking care of Heather and Tim is, to me, is just better than, more than a break room.
Oh.
I mean, break room would be nice, but.
Oh,
Let's,
yeah, yeah,
um,
no, that's true.
Right now, what's on the table is, so ideally you would prefer to be up here. Is that what I'm hearing?
Well, if I'm correct that we'd have more space, I mean, Pat's making me second guess that, but it feels like more space, and I feel like, especially if those can go and we can replace those with our file cabinets, that, I think that's probably the better way to go. The other benefit that I didn't mention is having, I mean, you know, sewer, land use, they're kind of, you know, we obviously could benefit from running into each other more frequently, so there's that too.
This room, to me, presents an air circulation, ventilation problem. I mean, it does now, you had a third person, this door isn't here, it's proposed, this
You're
is a
saying the
problem.
downstairs
Yeah,
club,
this
yeah.
is a problem.
Yeah.
I would have a hard time,
natural light either,
I-
which is
yeah,
not
right.
good
It's not
to
healthy.
a working environment.
So,
I would have a hard time voting for this plan for a couple of reasons. Number one, the money. Number two, there are so many interruptions with the town administrator and the selectman's assistant office that putting a door now in there would even add to that burden. That would be not a good thing to do to them.
so is the consensus that we ultimately move the land use and code enforcement upstairs?
Well, I think we should pursue measuring. Let's see, let's configure, do a
Come up with a
diagram
plan
of
for us
that.
next week. Ashley should be here. We
Well, that's
should-
why I was just getting
Right.
consensus and not actually voting on a motion.
Right.
Yeah.
Because if,
Measure and
if,
see.
you know, the majority of us say no, then there's no sense of even measuring. So
Wouldn't that be-
that's why I'm looking for a
That
consensus.
means they'll all be having a good time up here, and then I'll be downstairs.
I think that you'll have to, well, you'll get a lot more done, you know.
Now, that's true.
So it sounds like
Maybe
we're
all.
not all in objection to it.
I think that either that side or this side, because you can kind of come this way, and then you'll have adequate room.
That's what I was thinking, even if we were to, you know, toss some things around, even if we were to move this out, put even this table over more like that, shorten this up, people could come right
And
here.
put the chairs this way.
And put
Well-
the chairs facing this way, you know, just throw all those things around and
I
the
think-
numbers and the sizes and.
Well, it sounds like no one here is objecting to the
Right.
proposal.
For you to come upstairs, it's
So-
just finding a room.
If you want to measure, and
You will need extra electrical outlets though, which
Okay.
may be a problem.
Okay. All right, I'll even try and look at that.
Not using that one up about 12 feet or so, Pat.
We can run a cord.
We can put a second floor, yeah.
The assistant will be on the upper
Right.
tier.
No kidding.
so I would make sure that I talk to Tim about IT hookups. I mean,
Okay.
obviously,
All right,
it's there, but if there's anything else he needs, have
yeah.
him look at your office.
Yeah, might have to add some, but I
Yeah.
think
I think that's gonna be fine, but I would just cover all the
I
bases.
think you only have 3 over there.
And then have a proposal for
'Cause
us
when-
next week when Ashley's here.
Okay,
When we moved over
All right,
here,
sounds
there was
good.
a problem with us sitting over there with our laptops. We can't because of the stuff that's plugged in there over there now.
right, because we put in extra outlets.
Exactly, right, and that's what, when I come up, I sit over here now, because sitting over there, you can't plug things in, because there's no plugs over there, unless you go
There's a
on.
power strip on the desk.
Exactly, unless you go onto the power strip, and I already know how the health officer really
As long as you unplug,
about power strips, I know that.
as long as you unplug, thank you.
Yeah, no, you can make it work, it's just the heat.
yeah,
No.
yeah.
And then a refrigerator.
Toughen us up. We've gotten,
I think it is, and I think that you really, if you can overcome the heat issue, but maybe, putting a 4th would be fine, but I really do. Without taking space from the sewer, because it's all lined up and that's the space. Without doing that, I think that you can comfortably, whether you switch them and expand a little bit, I'm fine with it.
all right.
Joyce, can you have a conversation with Johanna tomorrow to let her know we are pursuing moving land use up here, so she's
She
aware?
has some good ideas.
Ask her if she has any input she wants to share.
But it's not gonna take away from her little cubby hole. It's,
And it's amazing how, I mean, we both hear people coming up the stairs, thank goodness. But she'll have clients come up, I hear them come up the stairs and then I don't hear the conversation. So it doesn't disturb me over here. So I think it'll be.
Yeah.
So do you feel we have covered enough, we have a close enough description that we could actually advertise for the new position at this point without going another week?
I think we should advertise without going another week, but I also think that we really need to take a good look at how much it's gonna cost us for like electrical outlets over there, and,
Okay.
because I think that electrical outlets is what's gonna really cost us to move. Other than that, we shouldn't have to worry about, the guys can help us move everything up and move everything, I can come and help too.
Regardless of where we have them,
Right,
we've never had a third person in that office downstairs, so we would still need.
you're right.
Hmm.
We gotta
So,
figure out how much it's gonna cost.
If we could get the ad out, I mean, that's gonna take some time, get the ad out, interview.
Who's gonna
Chief.
interview?
I think Dari and Joyce should
Yeah,
form us a short list.
Yeah, I'll give you a short list and then you do the finals.
We'll have a conversation with you about it, who you recommend.
Yeah, and you can look at all
So
the,
the top 5?
Yeah.
Break it
But
down to
just-
5?
yeah,
What
because
does everybody
it's
think of that?
really time consuming for you guys to do.
I agree
Thank
with you.
What do you think,
Oh, yes. I like that.
Peter?
Well,
Is that okay?
Top
You know
5.
what you're looking for.
just so you
Tell me
know,
what to do.
Northfield's looking
I
for
know.
the same thing for 30 hours a week.
No, interesting, okay.
And I did call Glenn and say, because their person would be attending night meetings, and I said, geez, our person won't be attending night meetings. I said, is there any way we could work a deal out here? And he said, no, because their person is gonna be doing other things in addition to like helping with the finance stuff.
Interesting. Good deal.
All right.
Is there anything we haven't covered, Dari?
No, this is great. Thanks a lot for your time. It's exciting to see this moving forward.
Okay, so if I go ahead and do this, do you want me to go ahead and post this, just, because this can be changed at any time?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, since you referenced it in the ad that it'd be posted, do
Yeah.
that, and if we have to edit it next week, we can.
I mean, it's just minor. If we
Yeah.
edit it, it's just gonna be minor stuff, because you have the bulk of it in there anyway. I agree.
All right. Thank you.
That's exciting.
Welcome.
Are you over here tomorrow? So,
Yep,
All right,
yep,
so why don't
falafel
we-
pitas tomorrow.
okay, so we'll
What?
talk to Johanna
When did you
tomorrow.
change
Please talk to her first thing.
I'll tell you about it. What's that?
So we'll both talk to Johanna.
Oh, okay, yeah, definitely, all right.
And we'll go up and take a ride up and see.
Get the
They go
refrigerator.
with their-
Yeah, all right,
Tomorrow's Cinco de Mayo.
good. Well, reason to
Great,
celebrate.
things are happening, they're happening.
I'll bring the
We need
maracas.
to
Does that
get
mean you're
May the
refrigerating?
4th.
an estimate from Brock.
No, that would be
Saturday is
downstairs.
Revenge of the 6th.
Oh, jeez.
Just saying.
Makes sense, how it was
How-
supposed.
That lift, I was told, is not for moving furniture.
Listen,
Well, what's the weight capacity?
700?
700?
So you base it on weight. If the refrigerator weighs less than 700,
It
it's
does.
not,
I mean,
we're
we-
talking about furniture.
Good.
Then you put in a 250-pound person.
well, you do the weight calculation.
So put Al in it.
Listen,
No, you just put the furniture in,
Put the furniture in
button,
now.
drive it down, go downstairs.
Oh, that's true.
I
You
have
put
one
furniture
more.
in and send it up without a human being.
Yeah.
I have one more stipulation here. If they
Cool.
move up, I would really not like, and I'm not a selfish person, I would give most anything away. However, I'm not inclined to share my Coke machine over here.
Wait a minute now.
I mean, I'm
That
inclined to
was the
share
whole
my
reason we were
Coke,
coming up
but not
here.
my refrigerator.
Well, no, we
I'm
can
gonna
bring-
meet with
bring
the
up
energy
other
committee and
smaller
decide how many
ones.
refrigerators
So
we're
you
gonna
need
have
to
in this
decide
building.
whether or not that refrigerator is coming up, because this one's not going to be used for anything else but
All right,
Coke.
fine. You better keep
Okay.
count on
Is there any
those.
Coke in there now?
Yes, go ahead. Go ahead.
All right,
There,
fine.
now that I've made that clear.
All right, thank you, Gary.
All right, thank you.
Thanks, Darren.
And Joyce, you'll get with Brock to get going on this price cost.
Yes.
And maybe talk with Tim about what's needed up there for
Yep, for IT.
IT, and I think the electrical's fine. Let's quite figure out what's up there.
Printer over here, so right over there.
I'm okay with
He's
that.
got one here.
Sorry.
That's fine.
Take it away.
Did we print out, or did you
Okay.
print out?
50-foot extension cords, John, with power strips will be good. We can run from here
Power,
over.
I have 4
I
3-foot
have-
power strips, which
Not
gives us
the
a
Tim's
9-foot
they
cord.
have.
That's true.
I have a power
That's yours.
strip,
And
and
the
that's all I need.
Piggyback.
No, they don't need them printed out if it's online. Ashley and John don't want
Oh,
it.
well,
Okay,
I'll figure it out.
gonna reference.
Well, what do you
If
have
there's
to reference?
Because you
anything
have to have a
in
printer.
the,
You don't have to.
Every time you print something, come
What
down
do
the
you
Part
stairs.
of the meeting, but they're
yeah, that was pretty good
a
exercise.
reference that they have their reports.
Right, they have the
Don't be on the
reports.
side of the
They
wall.
have the reports.
Yeah, I can
But
use
not
that.
Catherine uses, because she doesn't have it printed out.
Catherine has
Is that
Tim's.
gonna be a wall?
That's terrible.
Catherine has what? Tim's?
Catherine has
She doesn't
Tim's.
have the chief's.
What?
The chief just sent his.
What are we
The
talking
chief
about?
just sent his, I just forwarded it to everyone.
Right on time.
Yes, I forwarded the
And
chief.
Brock sent his, so they're all on the other, you know.
Okay.
I
Are
didn't
these
see
just
it.
being received now?
Well,
Well,
I saw them earlier,
At
Can we ask
4:19
them
it
to have
came
but
in.
I didn't print them out.
Can we ask them to have them here the day before our meeting?
As long-
Because if we have any questions, otherwise the chief should be required to come to every single meeting.
5 p.m. on Wednesday?
Yeah.
We've asked before that.
Joyce,
They know
I'm gonna
that.
share with Brock the format I had for his reports.
We didn't give him that, did we?
Yes, we have.
Oh, we did
He
give it?
has it.
We did give it to him? Okay.
Yep,
Well, I guess he doesn't wanna follow that setup then.
it's an unusual week.
Yeah.
I
But
think
there's
he just
nothing-
I think he just wanted to get something to you
Yeah,
guys.
but there's
Yeah,
nothing
this,
on, yeah, but there's nothing on repairs, so that, and I don't know why you can't just have Kevin, have the document open, Kevin, as you do stuff, just ask.
I agree with you on that.
All right, Joyce. What page on it?
Well, you saw, I emailed a draft agenda the day before.
Yes, thank
Yeah, I
you.
looked at that.
Right, let me
It
just
only
get
took
this-
you a little extra for the backside, right?
What, did you also get my sensitive items still pending?
While we're on the
Backside
chief's,
came.
while we're on the chief's report, can someone explain to me why he's been told to send it to Joyce instead of Gail, when Gail forwards it out immediately, and to the board?
Many years ago, he said everything should go to Joyce that comes into town because they're official documents, et cetera, et cetera. If the Board of Selectmen would like to change that
Well, I would like to change it because
and have those things
Gail's
go to Gail,
process is, she prints it, makes a copy, puts it in his file,
then we can
and then
have-
forwards it to the board.
We can have him send it to both.
Yeah.
I agree, both.
And then just Gail forward it out.
Does everybody agree to that? Have him send it to Gail and Joyce?
Or Board of Selectmen too.
Yeah, why doesn't he send it to all
Just send it to the board.
three?
I agree. That'd be even
What, you
better.
want to cut to the chase instead of having middle people?
That, yeah, that.
But Gail
Thank you.
prints one out for the file, so it really needs to get to Gail.
Sure.
You know.
You can have that. All of this right now is, I've been through, including
Joyce, so
that.
the consensus is ask them, those that send in these reports, the director and the chief, to send them to Gail, Joyce, and the Board of Selectmen. And they do need to get here the day before, I think. What does anybody else think of that?
When we've already told them Wednesday noon, that was the cutoff. And we've said it for maybe 2 years
I
now.
don't think Brock knows that.
Wednesday,
Chief, yes.
yeah.
So let's tell them
Wednesday
Wednesday
noon.
noon. If it isn't here by Wednesday noon, shall we tell them to plan on being at the meeting?
Mhm. I agree with that.
Okay. John? Yes? Peter?
Yeah.
Good, okay.
Okay, the truck driver, Brock said he's got some good applications, so I've suspended the advertising for that, and instead I'm gonna put in the seasonal laborer part-time. The only reason I didn't put that ad in now is because I just want to be clear, we're not requiring that the seasonal laborer have a CDL, just a New Hampshire driver's license, correct?
The part-timer?
Part-timer.
You might want to say CDL.
Yep,
um,
I say CDL.
Encouraged,
Why?
at least. Well, because if Brock's looking to use them for winter help, rather than have them in the multi-one, if they need to run them in
Wouldn't that
something
make it
else.
year-round, full-time?
Well,
That
he's,
was my other question. When it says seasonal, right now, are we just doing summer?
but he said last week, he said, I would want him now seasonal. In the event that he turns out to be okay,
Yeah.
in the future, I would like to bring him, if need be,
Right.
in the winter or whatever.
Okay.
That would mean that he would require, to me, a CDL.
But then he would no longer be a part-time
It
summer
would be,
person.
Can I make a suggestion?
Now we're making 6 full-time people.
no.
If we have a summertime, part-time, or summertime seasonal, and we take them without the CDL, and we get through to the winter, that's when we can pick up the guys that we're doing the paving and all that stuff,
Yeah,
with
that's
the
right.
CDL.
That's
So
what
we're
we've done in
paying
the
at a
past.
Yeah.
non-CDL rate for the labor during the
That's right.
summer, and in the winter, we can pay at the CDL rate for the good guys.
I agree with you.
'Cause
Well, if you want the good guys, they're gonna start in November and run through April, and if they're truck drivers, you'll find them at oil companies, things like
All right,
that.
so when we advertised for Jack before last summer, it was a seasonal light equipment operators, that they could operate some light equipment. Okay.
You
And
could say CDL not required but preferred.
okay, good.
You wanna reference your DOT physical card, because that would get you into the one-ton.
Well, that's up to Brock, I think, to decide if he requires that, but I would think that that would be required.
Well, that's
Maybe
true.
not necessary.
Well, it's a fiscal, so
Well, the nice part is, we have to do the drug test.
Well, we do the pre-employment test anyway.
you can then do the
Physical.
DOT physical with it. Because that's for anything between 10,000 and 26,000 GVW, I believe.
I don't know, we got enough hand labor work, we got other guys that can drive those trucks and
That's
stuff
what
like
I
that.
think.
I just want somebody that's a good, hard worker that can shovel, rake, and run small
No,
equipment.
Physical card just gets you into the one-ton, which
That's
is what,
fine.
which is, well, when you're doing stuff in the summer, that's gonna be one of,
What pay?
What pay?
Yeah, what is there a range?
What did Brock say?
I would
Oh,
say
for
from,
which one?
is this
position?
seasonal?
12 to
Summer.
16?
I would go from 14 to 16, depending on,
I 12 to 16.
What, is that for the ad, Joyce?
I put 12 to 16
Why don't you just say
too.
depending on experience and leave it open?
I want to put a cap on that.
What do you-
I put 12 to 16.
12 to 16?
well, I think we all agree that we're not gonna go over 16. I think that's kind of,
12 to 16, pending experience.
Okay, that answers that question.
That means if you got somebody straight out of high school, it's a get up and goer, and
Oh, part-time, it's part-time. Okay, so I'm gonna run that, and I got permission to do the land use. Our special open enrollment with Health Trust and Benefit Strategies, I started at 6:30 this morning, and was down in the meeting room in the police station till, what time did I come back?
how many people showed up at the 7 AM?
I would say, at the 7 AM, there was Kim and two other people, and I couldn't tell you who it was.
Was Terry there? Terry?
Yes, Terry. Kim, Terry, and then there was one other person.
And so when
It's
other
three.
was the, when other,
Then the 9 o'clock was good,
the 9 o'clock?
It's right there.
And so how many at the 9 o'clock?
I would say 5, 5, 6, 7. And then I'm trying to count how many packets I put in the, when, on my way there, I caught Professor Appleby. Officer Appleby, he was running out on a thing. Trot, lights, blue light, he was running on something, so I knew I lost those two. But Steve Henry came, Matt Dawson came, Nadeem, Brian Keeler, Brian Martin, Billy Patton, all the highway department. The ones from the
So
town hall were
you're-
me and
You're including the 5
Kim.
with, so 5 officers showed up at the 9?
No, just one. I'd have to go back and look.
Well, the reason why I'm
I
asking
didn't-
that,
Who didn't. That's probably easier to do. I did talk to Buffington, because he's on the other plan. He is in sync with Luke. Fort, Trot, Appleby, Murray, Glenn, and Nault.
so in the,
That's all that everybody else did.
in the chief's report, it said that we are also Thursday, May 4th, the Tilton PD hosted informational session with Health Trust on different plans available and how to best use the plan to save money. The presentation was excellent and well received. It's kind of deceiving to me, because if there's only a couple officers that showed up, it wasn't well received.
Oh, I think it was.
Okay. The people that were there received it well.
Yes,
Okay. That's a little bit different
yes.
than,
Right,
People
but
are-
those people I counted, I mean, 2 of them just couldn't come.
mhm.
I don't know why Mort didn't come, Noel was off, I don't know why Liz didn't come, but I know Liz is interested.
Mhm.
So I will catch up with them, but, I mean, every time I go to these sessions, I learn more and more and more.
Mhm.
So, I think there's a lot of enthusiasm at the PD to do it. Tim came, he's interested in it, I know I'm interested in it after the first of the
Yeah,
year.
I wish I had gone. I just didn't feel good
And
enough
the,
to go. But,
The FSA is wonderful, I just think that.
so you got a lot of response to that.
Yes,
Good.
yes,
Well, that's good.
Great thing.
it
I
is.
can tell you,
It is.
I've had one now for 4 or 5 years.
And people signed up
It's
right then and there, or they,
They took all the
all
paperwork
the
with them.
information? Okay.
And
What's the deadline for them?
I said, just get it to me as soon as you can. I said, no later than June 1st.
Okay.
If you want to have seamless, have your cards in hand, come July 1st.
When is it effective? July 1st?
Yeah. Yeah, I went ahead and scheduled my son's impacted wisdom teeth coming out on July 11th.
We can do this.
But,
If you can hold them down, I can do it.
oh, not these.
I
I'll
got
show
one,
you
I have
what
one
I
you
do.
can hold down for you.
Okay, I have the CDBG, remember we asked for a grant extension and it was approved, now we have to sign the contract. Unfortunately, when they sent the certification, there's only for the chairman to sign. So, I know you like 5 things, but remember we sent the thing saying that the
It's
chairman
all
could
been,
sign?
yeah, it's always kind of been the chairman to sign all of that kind of stuff.
Okay, and then Cindy has to sign this recertification.
Mhm.
So this is just amending the contract. This is the document that goes to governor and council. So we want the chairman can sign this. Cindy signs it.
Somebody
I'll
else?
make a motion to have the chairman sign the
I'll second that.
CDBG grant.
Has
stuff.
everybody read it? Are we okay to sign it,
Mhm.
regardless of
Yes.
who signs it?
I read it. It's the same as,
Okay, you're good with this?
yep, I'm good
No
with that.
problems?
Yep.
All right,
Motion
any more
on the table.
discussion?
Yeah.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained, motion carries.
Okay, which reminds me, this is the actual flexible benefits plan that I was handed today. I tried to sit down with Jesse to have him go over and review these agreements. I checked them to make sure that it was everything I told him that the board wanted in it. But these like HIPAA agreements and these they do need signed as soon as possible, but he just wasn't able to get to them today, so I'll have him look at them and we could get them. If he says they're okay, can we, can I read them and have the board come in and sign them?
What are
I'm
they?
okay with them.
What are they?
These are the agreements for our,
Oh,
we have to file these. First, it's the agreement with Health Trust, that they're gonna operate it for us. And the other is just that we'll follow all the IRS rules. And all those documents are in this. And then I have to, and then I still have to submit our
Must be,
employment
Diamond
data
Point or
to
what?
benefit
Yeah.
strategies, and we'll have similar
Intro
agreements for them,
card,
but they can't really get the ball rolling until we've signed with them. So I've got to add our insurance certificate.
I hate charge cards, I'll tell you.
so we have 30 days written notice to terminate, otherwise it automatically renews. And if we fail to meet the obligations, they have 15 days to terminate.
Keep those sites, I'm sorry.
And you're gonna have Jesse look at it?
Yes.
Does anybody else wanna glance through these? Is that a yes?
No.
Anybody else wanna glance through?
Then we've got that.
No, I don't.
Joyce, please watch your step. That is such a, that's just needs to go, I know.
So if I can get Jesse to look at this and I, hopefully he won't point out anything glaring, then the board could come in and sign it, say over the weekend or, I don't want to wait another week because that's,
For the CDBG?
no, for the flexible benefits.
Joyce, you
I'm
already
fine
gave
with
them
that.
this.
Yes, go
You
ahead
already
with it.
gave them this.
Oh, no, but I corrected it.
Oh, you did?
Yes, this replaces what you received already because it's good. And Dawson found some errors.
On the first page, not a big deal. Last sentence, no work shall be performed any newly paved road. Probably should say on any newly paved road. Or in any newly paved road.
Where are you?
Well, you didn't catch that?
I thought I did, I got it, I have it highlighted here. Maybe I
Tell me.
thought it and didn't write it. On the first page, the second paragraph under applicant is required, the very last sentence, no work shall be performed. It just says any new paved road, I'm sorry. And then probably this one wasn't caught. Oh no, see that, you got that one, enforce. Oh, I must have forgotten to put the on it. So no big deal.
And I put in an amount at a minimum of 3,000.
I think
And
it's,
can be fined up to 1,000 per violation. And then we put in, we added to, when it talks about interruptions to traffic shall be kept to a minimum, blah, 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 after uniform traffic control devices and in accordance with the town of Tilton highway policies and regulations whereby a uniformed police officer shall be required to control traffic unless the police chief determines it is not necessary.
On the final form, can we be consistent on your line type? Some are bold, some aren't. Some have bold and then gaps in them and all.
Some have gaps in them?
Well, if you look under
that was mine.
second page, date paid, it goes bold, and then near the end it goes to just the regular line, then a very bold at
Joyce,
the
that
end.
was when I filled in for you and told you I couldn't do the underline.
Just get them all consistent.
Yeah.
Now, is this gonna be something that they can also upload and just print on and then submit?
You got it.
Good.
Oh, you mean to fill in form online? No, they'd have to download it, print it, fill it out, and then scan it.
So everything we get's gonna be handwritten? The joy of being able to type it in, it's usually much clearer to read and understand.
Talk to Tim, he can set it up,
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think you can.
and then they can print it out.
Yeah, they can go either way, but the savvy
Yeah,
ones.
either so that they could type in it.
Right.
Yeah.
Or fill it out online, but even with the
Well.
state, when they have fill-in forms,
Yeah,
you still have to download it, print it out, save it as a PDF, and email it. You can't just hit submit and have it submit.
no, you may have to save it, which, yeah.
Yeah. so
All
you
I'm
fill
looking
it
at
out.
is sort of an ease for the contractor to
Right,
fill out.
so what most have is where you can fill it in online and save it
Yeah,
as a PDF,
which is fine, 'cause
and then you can
Not
email
for-
it.
right, because pretty much
Okay.
anyone can open the PDF.
Yep.
what is it?
So do it as a PDF. Yeah,
Well,
Tim and
Assortment.
Yeah,
Dari are good at,
yeah.
they have the software to do the
There's more than
PDFs.
one
So
button
fill
here.
in form and then save to PDF. And then we'll let them take care of the lines when they do it. Okay.
That's a lot.
What? Drill?
Yeah, do best, that's a lot.
The other thing I was thinking is if I reduce the, the reason I did space and a half on the prior to initiating work and notifying abutters, because I kind of wanted that to stand out. But if you wanted more lines for additional requirements, I could change that to single space. But then you could always just attach something if the public works director wanted
Yeah,
to require more. Just say see attachment or something.
right. Maybe, let's see. I don't know if throwing in a box somewhere on the application that there is an attachment. Just in the event they get separated, we know, well, there should be something else with it, rather than just the one double-sided permit.
Okay, where should I put that? Please check if there's an attachment.
Let's see.
Between where they're giving their contact information
Probably, yeah, if you
and
can,
then before for town use only.
yeah, somewhere on, yeah.
It's 3 each.
Either that or along where the additional requirements are,
I thought bridge and
Including an attachment.
Oh,
Yeah.
so it's doing work on cruisers.
Right.
No,
yeah,
okay,
and that way it makes it easier to keep track.
okay. Pretty good. That only took how many months? It's taken
Getting closer.
a month and another week. Okay. Tax credits and exemptions. But you want those, don't you? We only had 5 of the new tax credits at 500, and there's one elderly, and we have a couple that she kicked back because they didn't have all the information, so you're gonna send them letters? And if they can get the letters back before next Thursday, we can get them on this first issue tax bill. If not, they'll just appear in the second issue.
With a total exemption. Yeah. So they really won't lose anything, it'll just be delayed.
Yes. Now I just have to find them. And it's probably in my abatement folder downstairs. Oh, here they are. Okay. And my binder, I got that. Okay. Let's see. This is a veterans. This is a veterans. This is an all veterans. This is an all veterans. This is an all veterans. And all oh, there's 1 and 5. Hold on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm sorry. There's 6 of these. Well, we start with the leader and go down, or should we
Yes,
start-
it's started and then
I didn't put stickies, just sign on the bottom. Okay, and this is a current use application.
yeah. Didn't think we had any of those left on the fleet.
I think we had an elderly, I guess not. She must have given you that back to get some information. So,
That makes it even stranger.
It's Crown Victoria.
I stop playing with my head. I do this all the time now.
okay, so next Thursday,
Taking a
we'll,
wish.
we'll have a warrant to sign.
Very nice. What does she have?
Well,
Until, what was the deadline for the warrant?
15th.
Of May? What's next week?
The 11th.
The 11th, okay.
I haven't had a chance to, she doesn't have all the information in yet, to run a MS1, just to compare it to last year, but she says on the whole, we didn't pick up anything big.
That's too bad.
But we do have, is it 5 guys? That's on the cards now, it's not complete, but at least we got.
But what is,
that.
was there as of April 1st will be taxed, and then we'll pick it up next year, and along with whoever goes into,
Hobby.
On that list, we're talking about that list that Cindy sent out.
No, that's liens. She gave you the lien list, and then who will be going for tax deed.
Because I noticed there's one that's sewer. And that the bank pays their tax. I don't know if she makes phone calls to them to, in case it's somebody that doesn't understand what that
Yeah,
bill
that
is.
we, Gail and I looked at that one. Remember that one sewer one? No.
Yeah, I think the
she's-
3
she
years
is-
or 4 years that they haven't paid their sewer bill, their taxes, then it goes over to taxes. But it might be somebody, maybe they're a new homeowner or something that they don't understand that the bank
Yeah,
didn't straighten it out.
That should have been settled at closing, though.
yes.
Anytime you
No,
close.
that's not what I'm saying.
It's in
Somebody
the-
is
it's in your-
about to get
your
a tax
FYI.
lien.
You should have a copy in each of your folders, and
Um,
then there's one in the FYI.
In that list that Cindy sent out, and it's all, from sewer bills that they didn't pay.
Right, because we sell every year in
Yeah.
December, we'll sell.
Yeah, and what I'm saying is perhaps, and it says on there that the bank pays the mortgage, perhaps that person doesn't understand that these are real legitimate bills,
Mhm.
and it's not like something that the bank,
Right, that might be.
I've heard people say that, you've probably heard that. Don't understand whether you're a tax collector for a
Yeah.
sewer bill.
Cindy's really good about
Contacting.
contacting people.
I just hate to see somebody.
I asked that there be a separate file kept for these with all the explanation in it, so that the selectmen can easily grab it at their
Yes.
convenience to look at.
Yes, she hasn't
So
done
don't
that
put
yet.
it in the chairman's folder or in my thing.
Yep.
Make it accessible to everybody
Yep.
at any time. I mean, as long as we all get a copy of the cover sheet.
Yes.
And I believe that's on this table somewhere.
What day is she doing it? June? June
June
something?
29th.
June
If no
29th.
redemptions made by June 29th at 4:15, the tax deed could be issued to the town of Tilton.
Right. So usually what we do is like a couple weeks before we go out. Pat, we send Pat,
Check them out.
check them out, and Al, I had Al go out and look at them, but there's.
I go out about 4 weeks prior to.
4 weeks prior?
Yeah, and then I follow up.
There's not.
Okay.
And then about 2 weeks prior to, I follow up with the, okay, here's the last,
Okay.
boom. Because Cindy updates it,
Yep, she, updates it weekly, no, she's really
Right.
good about that.
and so I go out maybe 2 weeks prior to and say, hey, this is it, and then 1 week prior, there's probably a couple left. But I look at the list 4 weeks usually prior to it.
Just
Go out.
Yes, thank you. I'm just looking at the repetitive names.
Joyce, do you, can I just ask you a quick question? The prosecutor's,
Huh?
contract, the prosecutor's contract
Yes,
that we have,
yes.
does it specifically
Are these
say that
messed up?
we have cleaning,
Shipped from?
But we have,
Shipped to?
cleaning
I would find it.
available to him?
Good catch.
Is his
That's weird.
suits cleaning?
it's very weird.
Can you double check
Yeah,
that?
I don't believe,
Okay.
because I know, let me look.
Can you look at that, because we have an, on average, the reason why I say that is on average, we have $20 to $30 usually we have for uniforms for
Yeah.
offices, which is in the contract. But it's $143 for this one. And if that's the case, this bill, it jumps the bill up to $464, which alerts me. Last year, we had 3,000, we spent 37,000, and we only put in 32. So, the
So-
2016 budget was 32, we spent 3809.
So that's for the officers to have their uniforms cleaned.
Exactly, but they're contractual
Right,
offices, so
what
can
about-
we,
What about the non-contractual people?
right, can we double check and, well, see, the chief and captain and would be included in that because they take prisoners or arrests and things like that, and the whole thing of that is you're not gonna bring that home to your wife and children.
Right.
This person doesn't do that.
Right.
This is a court only,
Right,
Something
even though
wrong.
he'll say he's a certified part-time police officer.
but he's not acting in that. If he acted in that capacity and put a uniform on, I would have absolutely no problem with it. So I don't remember us ever negotiating a part of the contract for prosecutor for cleaning. So
No, we didn't.
if you look at the average of what the bill is for an officer, and then we get this, I think that we really need to look at it, because it's gonna jump our budget. No, I mean no
If
disrespect
it's
to
not in our
anybody.
contract, then it's not something we should be paying.
Right. I really think that we really take a look at it. So I'm gonna question mark this, where's the little pink things?
He's using them by the dozens.
Oh, you got some over there?
What, you got pinkies in there?
Yeah, I've got
I don't
something
think
that
I'm gonna
was,
be signing that.
there was something that was ordered, some boots that were shipped to Haverhill, Mass.
Well, Havel is the uniform place, Neptune.
But they were shipped to,
They're
Not
being
from.
resold.
Well, yeah, because they would pick up
so they
their,
were sent back?
yeah, they're probably sent
Okay.
back.
So
Because
why
Neptune
was
is
the
the,
check written?
Neptune is the place where there was,
Okay, in the bill, this is a
Right.
UPS charge.
is
Okay.
Havel, Massachusetts, yeah,
Makes sense.
So we had to pay to ship a wrong order back?
probably.
And the other thing was, is we bought 9 radiator hoses for Crown Vics, and they
We-
were ordered by the police department, not by our mechanic.
We ordered 9 radiator hoses
Yeah.
for Crown Victoria.
3 of each. I got
They
3.
just did flushes, I know that. Did you read the police, the chief's
No,
report?
I
They just did flushes to get ready for the,
But that's a good
Summer.
question. Why are they being ordered from,
because sometimes Nate or.
but he shouldn't be. Maintenance for police cruisers are to be handled by Public Works.
These were ordered by Ryan.
And that was determined years ago when we started the program.
And
Well,
it's
I
like
think
3 of
about it.
each.
Look
for
at look at the chief's report. It says
No,
something
but Kevin
about,
should be ordering all this stuff.
something about radiator and flush.
Yeah, the detail cars. Get them ready, flush the radiator.
And replace all the hoses?
It
So why
says,
wasn't that done by Public Works?
Isn't he aren't they coordinating?
But
It says
there shouldn't
Sergeant
be any
Morrison is-
repairs done by our police officers.
Sergeant Morrison is working with Kevin to get all the detail cars ready for the warm weather by flushing the radiators, adding new coolant, and replacing hoses, etc.
But it shouldn't be.
Why?
Who shouldn't be?
Why
The-
not
Kevin
pay a
shouldn't be?
detective to,
The captain or Nate Morrison should not be ordering parts for the vehicle's hoses, and this was ordered by the police department. It should be Kevin that orders the,
and who is doing
John?
the work?
yeah.
Where is it being performed? If they're flushing it, are they disposing of the stuff right? Or is somebody taking the cars home and working on them and
That's
charging
what we
for
do.
the hours? All cars and parts should be ordered through Kevin. That way he can track everything that's been done to every car and have a sheet for it.
After the drill bits, I'm not so sure, but okay.
These drill bits are
I think we need to make sure that
$349.
Kevin is the only one who orders parts, period.
Where do you get this list?
How do we resolve that?
just tell the chief and Brock, don't do that. Have Kevin do it. Who ordered drill bits?
Public Works, $349 for nitro carb assortment, $349.
How many bits were there is the question.
There's an assortment, and it depends on what sizes too. I mean, we order bits, but they're hammer drills.
Yeah, it could be hammer drill.
And, you know, a
Concrete
5/8 inch hammer drill bit, a good one, is, you know, probably $100.
Could be a long one.
Now, have you been down there to see these?
I looked online, exactly what they put in the number, it's $112.
There better be 9 radiator
Most
hoses in there.
expensive one I saw.
So what's so nice about it is that it's easy to find things and to account for things.
Who's gonna,
Clean and organized like that.
who's gonna have the conversation with Police Department and Public Works about maintaining these vehicles? And resolving the issue just discussed?
Regardless,
I think that I will let him know. We'll let him know.
I
Do you wanna do
think,
that?
I think we need
Thank you,
to,
Joyce.
instead of just letting them know, we need to tell them that all mechanic work must be done by our mechanic and all parts ordered through our mechanic. So we have traceability on all these. And it's not letting them know, that's the way it is. You know, it was nice to help out before, but I'd like to see one guy be in charge of everything so he knows who's doing what.
Okay. Thank you for finding that.
Okay.
Next.
I did forget one thing up further about approving payment of overtime to a highway employee.
I saw that.
I don't have to use names. Okay. I was sitting down to work out a payment plan, and I don't know if this was a week I did, no, I didn't do payroll this week. This came to my attention after. That this individual, this is going back to April 5th, pay date April 5th, so it would be Friday, March 31st, and Saturday, April 1st, which was those big snowstorms. This individual was called back
Started with.
from, he was called in from his vacation on Friday. He was working on Friday.
Mm-hmm.
And he worked, I don't know, 4.5 hours, 4.25 hours on Friday, and then he worked like 12 hours on Saturday.
15 3/4 for
Yeah.
a total of 20.
Yeah, and I kicked it back because, well, he had paid time off that week. But then when I looked at the timesheet, it said was called in for an emergency.
We discussed it at the meeting, and because isn't the policy overtime after 40 hours work?
Other than the fact that it was
Other than the
called an
emergency.
emergency.
Yeah.
Does it
Once
say
it's
that in
called
the
in an
policy?
emergency is different in the employee manual.
And that's what we
For
asked
highway,
Joyce
yeah.
to check on.
Yes.
Was he called in
Yes.
due to an emergency?
Yes.
Does the policy manual specifically say
Yes.
that
Yes.
Yeah,
if you're
Yes.
calling for emergency, you receive time and a half?
yes,
Yes.
yes,
Yeah, I
John.
think it says you're paid overtime.
Overtime,
Blah, blah, blah,
right.
wage at the blah, blah, blah rate.
Overtime for what?
The overtime wage at the
If-
whatever rate, blah, blah, blah. But it
Right.
does say that, yes.
It does say that if you're called in an emergency, and that was asked of him to do that, an emergency on his vacation.
Right, because he could have said, no, I'm sorry, I'm on vacation, I'm not
Right.
coming in, and that would have
So the next question would be is,
So we paid him.
why are we doing vacations in the winter season?
Well, this was the last week of March.
Yeah, so
But
we
we've had
were-
other vacations through the winter.
Oh, I'm
I-
sorry, because he was moving.
Okay.
He was
Yeah.
moving that week.
But generally, it's like when I was a paving foreman for Pike, you didn't take time off during the summer. That was
Right.
your busy season.
Yeah, usually our highway guys take it
That's
in
a funny way of
late
spelling
summer,
that
fall.
first name.
Yeah,
No age.
Okay.
It's like,
so is that all right?
Yes, I would
Yeah.
say.
Yeah.
Okay, I
If
wasn't aware
it's in the
that-
policy, then yes.
Yeah,
It's
well,
manual.
I hadn't
Yeah.
actually looked at the timesheet.
yes. I think
Because we had done the timesheet, and because those
was
were
an
the only hours
emergency.
worked.
Yeah,
So I have one other question. The car that was in the vehicle accident during the winter months, that cost us $14 or some odd $1,000 up on Laconia Road. Is this the one that we have the sign shop lettering for an additional $400?
no, this was done a long time ago, back in January, because the work was done in December.
But is this the accident car?
Yes, it is.
Okay, so
Yes.
on top of the $14,000 that the officer
Yes.
caused with
We did
with
get
the
reimbursed.
accident,
Yes.
we now have to pay the $400 and some odd dollars to get it relettered after it got fixed.
No, this is, let me explain. We did get the insurance for that. We
Yeah.
submitted for that. I never saw an invoice until January.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like, so chasing down, has this work been done? Has it been finished? What have you? And yep, the work's been done. It's like, okay, so I set it aside to pay it. But then I got a call from AutoServe saying, we went ahead and paid that bill, so we want to be reimbursed. And I said, okay, well, send me something that says that you did that.
So AutoServe paid the sign shop?
Yep, and we're reimbursing AutoServe for something that was done back in 2016.
So that was included in the $14,000 price?
Yes,
Okay.
well, actually, it was a supplemental.
Now,
So we
also,
got an additional check back in right away.
Okay, so it's not in addition to?
No,
the check for the cruiser mirror, is that the accident vehicle also, or
that I don't know anything about.
15A?
I'm looking for that. Where is that?
It was in the...
Grain Estate? Grain
Probably.
Estate Glass? Okay.
So the Brian or the chief should write little notes of explanation on these things when they go to the finance
Well,
office.
if it's something,
That sticks out.
well, it somehow got broken. It'd be interesting to know how.
Well, one of the things, do they do check request forms? Because
Yes.
Tim's been trying to get us to do check request forms. But what I do is try, if it's a weird thing, I try and put a little explanation in there of what it is. Not so much for the selectmen, but for the auditors.
Sure.
$197.
There's a repair order form for it, or something, because remember Brian implemented a thing where the guys go out there and they go around the car, if they see anything wrong, they write it down and turn it into Ryan,
Yeah.
so they can track any
And I've seen
damages.
them do that. In fact, that Jeremiah was doing that this morning.
So they must know.
Went over every inch of the car.
Okay,
Well, that's good. So you need to vote that, because we'll note that it's, you probably won't have to note as an exception because it was our, and he's been paid, so,
Mhm.
okay. So the abutter hearing notices and the survey went out. And when I went out there yesterday afternoon, because I had called Ed Crawford from Winnisquam Boats to give him a heads up, because I knew he was gonna have to move those pontoons for the surveyors to get in there and set the
Okay.
stakes and do that, just to give him a heads up, and so I hand-delivered his letter. And he so appreciated what the selectmen are doing. And he won't be able to come to the hearing, but he'll make sure someone comes, and he's just wanted to let the board know that.
he likes the idea of one-way parking.
Yeah, he says it is really bad.
So-
It is
so-
bad.
So it's okay with him, with his pickups bringing the pontoons in, they'll be able to joke over? That's
Well,
good.
we're gonna have bounds there now, so.
Well, and if you
No,
like,
Oh, yes, I did, because what I had sent Tim Bernier, in fact, he's going to have something for you to look at before that hearing. I had highlighted for him areas where I thought, to me, it looked like it was gonna be really tight, because there was a scale on that map,
Mhm.
1 inch is 60 feet,
Mhm,
and it's like, boy, that is gonna be tight.
mhm.
So I don't even know if they're gonna be able to get full parallel parking spaces there, right? You
yeah,
have to have so many feet from the travel way,
you'll have to figure it out.
so,
Well, actually, you have this proposal, and on the
what
back,
does he say?
it tells you the ideal configuration is a lane width of 22 feet, a parking width of 8, and the sidewalk is negligible because it's in the median, so it's 30 feet.
30 feet, okay.
So most of what you have there is far more than 30 feet.
Yeah.
Like you said, there's a couple of places,
Where it's.
but I'm sure that Tim Bernier knows this.
Yes, and I also tried calling Adrenaline Sports to let him know, because you were right, at that point where the line makes a turn, which is very close, he's gonna try and set that right on the line. But nobody called me back from there, and it was right in the middle of that squall. There was a squall. I mean, it was
The other day?
Wednesday afternoon. It was like, oh my God.
Isn't that
So I
fun?
was lucky I made it out of there alive. So I didn't go down and see if he was there. But I did call and tell him. And then Laura was very appreciative of getting the information. She'll be there. And I did do some research. I spoke just anecdotally with the chief and with Joe, just in crossing and talking, hey, what was on that conversation? And the chief said he never said that.
Sure he didn't.
He never said that. And Joe told me, he says, Joyce, he says, I never said that.
I
I'm
think that we need to get something that we need to get very, very, very specific in what we say and not have the chief that said this or this one said this and not have anyone go up there without very specific instructions from the Board of Selectmen. I know.
Everything Barry and I do
Well,
is
now there's a conversation link to the chief, and things are getting, I spoke with Brock, and there's phone calls going to him with this abutter. I don't think that this is a good situation. I think we need to lasso it in
I think you
and have very
can't.
specific conversation with just us.
I think you can't lasso it in. I think because of the nature of the abutter,
Yeah.
it just doesn't matter.
Yeah, I mean,
I
I was
mean,
never gonna
did you read
raise
the
it
latest
with the
letter?
butter, it's just, I thought, it was just in conversation with the chief, and he says, oh yeah, Joyce, I was gonna call you about that, he says, I never said that.
Did you see the ship address?
Okay.
One of the things that this board needs to decide before that hearing, I believe, is are we going to pave just the parking lot, or are we going to pave the whole
Yes.
abandoned
Brock and I
road?
would like to know
We
that.
have not, we've talked about it, but we have not as a board made that decision that I know of, that I'm aware of.
Now, we do have estimates
For what?
for,
Paving the entire area?
not for paving the entire area, I think just doing that drainage. I'll double check
No,
with
no,
Brock.
Pat's question was for doing.
The road and everything, you mean?
The road, the
Right.
entire
No, we
road.
have not made that decision.
No, but I think we should before we have the public meeting, because I think that's a
Well, and we have
conversation or
to send out
question.
an RFP, because we have to know what to send the RFP out on.
Right, so the sooner we decide that.
Right.
Unfortunately, Ashley again isn't here, but let's, let us all be thinking about that. Do we want to pave the whole strip?
I think we should pave the whole strip.
I agree with you, or just the parking, because the original price was just the parking.
And I think that,
Just the
I
section in front of the store, I should say.
think that we really need to go forward, and I'm sure that Ashley will understand if the board agrees, that we really need to get that RFP out ASAP, because like last year, we experienced that people are already planning their jobs for the year, and we're gonna end up with it towards the end, if not, and the following year. I don't want it the following year.
No, we need to be prepared this fall to know what we're going to do for paving projects, whether it's sidewalks or roads,
Yeah.
and have those bids up, what would you say? February 1st at the very latest?
Yeah, if you do it during the winter, they're
Yeah.
available to come.
Contractors are setting up their summer work.
The other thing that
So for
Brock
next
can,
year?
Brock can do in the fall is in the fall, let them know, here's my projects, give me a budget estimate when we go into the budget season.
I was hoping to
I
get
do-
this done in the summer. I thought
I
summer,
thought
fall
summer.
this
No, I'm
year.
talking about next year's project.
Well, the problem is if I bid it in the fall for next year, we don't use escalation clause, so that's gonna make them nervous, because if gas goes one way or the other.
Yeah.
The state has an escalation clause which protects them, which is why they'll bid out.
$2 already.
So-
I think since it's not just parking though, you're gonna try and delineate it, make it one way for most of it, and then you've got two catch basins that need to be repaired. Might as well just do the whole thing.
Are you talking
Pave
of-
parking?
Those are the state's catch basins.
No, we've got one right in the middle of our,
That's
Those are the
that-
states, we
no.
didn't install those.
In the are you
But
talking
they're
the
in
sewer
our-
manhole?
We did not
No, not the
install those
sewer.
catch basins.
right, but they're still catch water, they're in
I
our-
know, and they'll have to be the one in the middle, but what is the second one? Are you talking about the one that's way up?
Yes, the one that he has to put on the plan.
That's not
Huh.
even on our right
That's
of
on
way?
state, right.
Oh,
it's
you're
not
on the
where-
tower slope as you're going up onto the bridge.
Right, and that's, I asked, I said, where's the water here gonna go? And somebody said it's gonna go into the state up there, that he has to put on the plan. And then the other one, that's right in the middle, parking lot of the road.
It's right by the
All the water goes
condominiums.
right by it, doesn't even go in it.
Yeah, that one will have to be adjusted. The one that's up really on the sidewalk and the road isn't gonna pertain to this project.
Where are you pointing?
Isn't there one that's up in here?
Is that the
No,
bridge
no,
end?
no, it's
We
over-
have one here.
No, it's over here, he's gotta put it on, right there.
Okay,
Where's the fence?
right there.
Right there? Yeah, it's right there, right where the end
Oh,
of the
that's
pit
right, it
is.
was in front of the car. He
Yeah.
said it was covered by a pile of
Yeah.
snow. That's right.
So this water's gonna go there, and I guess this water's gonna go into the one that's in here somewhere.
Right. But that would be, you have these existing catch basins. It's not something that we have to worry about or design. The
No.
person who's going to bid on this is going to, as long as we say, you know,
Yep.
the
Yep.
drainage has to be addressed.
Yep,
And then those sewer manholes will have to be raised, but that's not a big deal.
so you don't see this as being a
Sewer
full.
manhole may be lowered, Catherine.
Well, raise or lowered, yeah,
It's sort of in a high area, and they want to, I think, drop it to get the water to.
probably.
So you don't see this as a full reclaim? Just a,
This is not a patch job. This isn't
this is
what an
full
overlay-
pavement?
Huh?
This isn't an overlay. I wouldn't know.
I gotta look at look at the shape of your pavement.
Yeah, I don't think it's.
Well, to me, it's an overkill to reclaim, because you're getting,
Right.
well, no, reclaim is more for your heavier traffic there.
Right. We'll do a shim.
Yeah, I gotta take a look again to see how,
When will Tim Bernier have a design for us? You said before the public hearing. Does
Yes.
that mean next week?
Yes, I told them, I said that they are meeting again before the public hearing on the 11th.
So next week, we should be prepared
Yes.
to vote on the one-way, because we haven't done that either.
Right,
The whole project
right,
as presented. Okay.
right, because you were gonna get public input and,
Well, I think we should vote on that before the public input. I think we should know the scope of the project before the public meeting, because they say, well, what are you gonna do? You're just gonna pay so this person has parking, or are you going? I'd like to be able to say, no, we're gonna provide parking for all along there, I mean, I don't know how the rest of you feel, but
I agree with you.
I don't want it to appear that we're doing one section of it just to do one business a favor.
okay, so we're gonna schedule that for next week. And then also,
Yes.
Peter,
huh?
and
what do you
maybe,
think? Next week we'll vote on?
It's fine,
maybe you and I can walk down there
okay.
when we get out of school. I'm gonna be gone Wednesday and Thursday morning, so it would have to be Monday, Tuesday, or Friday. And the meeting's Thursday, so Tuesday.
It's Monday, I think I've got afternoon meeting.
I mean,
Tuesday's probably gonna be your best bet.
Yeah, I mean, I can go anytime if you wanna go in before.
But what's
Saturday.
that?
To go over to Winnisquam, we can look at the pavement and.
I don't know what that is.
Oh, in here.
As John just pointed out, the warranty for those parts, the warranty belongs to the person who ordered them.
On his account.
So the town of Tilton, they're not warranted to us.
There's a reimbursement to the person that purchased them in here.
Because they didn't use the town account?
Right.
Well, they should be going through our mechanic,
Right.
on our account, on our charge card.
And there's
So
no,
after
that's
John's,
another one.
after we had that discussion, I saw that in the,
Wow.
yeah.
so
And
John
they're shipped
just,
to a different address
yeah.
too.
So John just made a perfect point here that the town of Tilton doesn't have the benefit of the warranty on those parts.
And there was no slip, I guess, that I don't know.
Where did you see that?
I just looked up the parts, lifetime warranty,
Can we tip it? Okay.
as long as you own the car.
Why was he ordering and paying for
Mhm.
parts on the?
Mhm.
There's the question.
Shock absorbers.
So I guess that's what,
Yeah,
you're gonna
ship-
follow
yeah,
up on
ship
that,
to.
correct? Or do you want me to follow up on it?
Even look at where they're shipped to.
Well, do you feel up to it? Up to
It doesn't matter to me.
Okay.
I'm sh-
What was the liaison?
the
Well, you're
liaison,
the
will-
liaison to Public Works, maybe the both of you can get together.
we can
Your
do it.
police,
Yeah.
maybe that would be,
All
Did we
right,
both
the other
girls?
one was, who ordered the hoses?
Right.
Ryan?
that person.
And this is,
Oh, the same
this
person?
is reimbursement for that.
Yeah, wow.
Mhm.
Not a good
Yeah,
situation.
everything should be tracked through the
Okay.
mechanic. Is-
So,
So next week, could I also have some time we'll spend on the rules for solid waste? I sent you an email.
yes, I see that's
I
on
listed a
here.
number of things,
I think you got that on, you have that on here somewhere, don't you?
yeah, under status reports. So if we could have some time for that.
MSW rules.
Yeah, I
Is
would
that all
say
right?
at least a half
We'll
hour.
discuss, start on our new garbage pickup recycling next week.
Sure.
Yeah.
Right.
It's coming up. It's
Um,
June 1st.
I have
right?
on the selectmen's reports, I wanna talk about the garbage.
Okay. Joyce, you have Main Street sidewalk.
Yes, and I have to check my email. They did send the W-9 and the certificate of insurance. I'm waiting to still hear on when he's gonna start, what his start completion date is. So I should be hearing on that shortly. And then I was gonna bring up again, because I've walked out there a number of times myself, and I've looked at the ramp, and I was just gonna bring up one more time for the board because I know it was watered down, but I'd like to have to think about it again. I just think that, I don't think we need to pave underneath where the ramp is. I don't think we need to remove the ramp. I would rather pay to get that whole ramp covered with a nice awning.
We were waiting for a full board. Didn't expect Ashley to be gone, but John.
Well, first, I appreciate that you're concerned with it, but we did vote on it 4 times now.
4 times?
Yes,
Oh,
we
I'm
voted on it
aware-
twice
I'm aware of
last year,
the
too.
4-1 vote.
With our previous public works director. I mean, moving
Your
it. But
memories, I
like, one of the big reasons, and I wanted everybody to look at it for, if you go out and look at those window wells, you will see that they have completely collapsed. The edges are below the pavement there, and it's right up against that ramp. In fact, part of the ramp is on top of it. We really need to address our drainage to make sure that it doesn't go towards those window wells. And I think we probably also need to get a mason involved to rebuild those window wells and raise that curving up by at least an inch or 2, because we have rotted out casement windows in those window wells. So in order to do that, we would have to remove the ramp, and we want to make sure that it gets pitched properly so it goes away from the building and not just, patch it. That was my thoughts. I'm worried about the building.
If you look at the building in conjunction with what John was saying, he had spoken to me about that. And if you look at the 2 window wells, you can see that there's a considerable amount of brick collapse since last year. So that is coming down. So there's water getting in under that. But if you look at the pavement directly in front of each window, there's, an inch to 2 inches, depending, it varies depending on the window, of where it must have been saw cut prior to that or seamed at some point, but it has a seam on each side where it's at least an inch to 2 inches of a gap where there's no pavement, and in between each window, and then there's the granite, and then there's a gap, so it's getting down in there and pushing. You can actually see the brick pushed out like this. You can actually see it pushing out. So
Crack filler.
No, this is well beyond crack filling.
you can actually
No, if the water doesn't get down through, you stop the issue. Crack filler will do it.
No, it's too late.
I think if you look at the
Yeah, and
3
only-
windows that we've got down there,
There's a product they sell for runways. It's a sealer. It's a 2-part sealer. It's never
Okay,
too
but-
late.
if you would,
No, it is too late. The
If you
bricks
could-
have caved in.
if you
Window
can
wells
get,
have caved in.
if you can get down into, if a mason or somebody that knows, that kind of thing more than I do, if you could get down into the window well itself and pulled out the brick and put them back in. I can't talk, I'm sorry, I got a wicked headache. And then put it in so that it's sealed properly, and then resealed the top so no water could get in, you might be able to get it done that way, but I'm not a professional on that. It
You
is,
can't put like plastic covers over the top, you know how they...
this is beyond that.
You are beyond, the plastic covers probably should go over those so that they don't fill up with snow and ice and rain, because the bottom of those windowsills are almost flush. But John is right, the bricks have already caved in to the point where they should be repointed, replaced.
Okay, so it isn't a pavement issue, it's a window casing issue.
Well,
Well,
the
it's-
water got underneath the pavement and pushed the bricks out in the water.
While we're doing this project, and I was either way, I mean, take the ramp out, don't take the ramp out.
Me too, yeah.
I just really could have gone either way. The point that John's making, though, is valid, and that here we are, we have an opportunity, remove the ramp, remove the asphalt, make certain that it pitches away from And then at some point it's gonna have,
And
Yeah, the
even
window
bring it up
wells.
an inch or two.
and we have an opportunity to repair the brick and whatnot in there.
So you're looking for how many days that the ramp will be out? Because I don't think Breton
Whatever it
does
takes.
masonry work, so you need someone else.
Do we know anyone that does masonry?
Everybody I know is retired. The gentleman from, was he in Bay Hill? He used to do the brickwork out here. I believe his son, he's from Northfield.
You talking Ronnie Dunlop
Ronnie
and
Dunlop.
Josh Dunlop?
No, that's not the familiar name.
Oh, you said Northfield, they're both in
Yeah,
Northfield.
Dunlop is the mason, Bud
Dun-
Murphy
Dun-
passed
Bud
away.
Murphy,
Yeah,
yes.
He passed away.
Didn't he have a
Kid or
son?
something that does it?
I thought he had a son that picked it up.
Yeah.
It was Bud Murphy. He did such a beautiful job, you wouldn't even know that it was a repair on that
Yeah.
trough. But,
Yeah, I think when you look at it, because I didn't realize how bad it was till I looked at it.
My concern is I don't know what composite does when you pull it off the building and trying to keep it together, if it's gonna twist and warp, because it's not gonna behave like wood would.
did anybody look underneath to see how it's attached to the building? I
It's like-
suspected
It's
that,
like,
They lagged it in,
Lagged
then they
flags.
covered over the whole thing with the, that fascia board that's like a fake material.
so you
if
take
pull
off
that,
the
take
fascia
that
and
off,
remove the
and then
legs.
you just see your
Right.
framing,
You just,
two by
yeah, that's not a big deal.
6, 2 by 8.
So do we have to take off the stoop? Right as you come out the door, does that have to come off?
I think it was
Yeah.
all constructed as one unit.
Yeah, it looks like they built that, and then they attached the
The ramp.
flags underneath.
you
the
can
other
take
side.
you can take
Pull
apart the ramp from the porch portion of it, right? But in order, if you're gonna pave, you're gonna need to take off the porch portion of it and then pave under it, unless you pave around the post, the two posts. But you could, that's the only thing that would be remaining, once you take the ramp portion off of it.
Should we be talking to one of our local carpenters? Maybe, the son of the person who built it in the first place?
Is he still around?
He's in Maine. Well, he does work around here, but mostly in Maine now.
Oh.
Maybe Brock can pull
Do you know
the
who-
fascia boards off it, and take a look, and you might find that it's,
Where you have
Do you know-
Hawkinses and
Well,
Well,
Jordans
you
and,
know who would, is around and does work at, on the side, who helped build it, is Jeff Viana. And he still works for them,
Yeah,
but
there you
he's
go.
still around.
oh, he helped build it?
Yes,
There you
he
go.
works for
That's
them,
good.
right.
He's with what, Clearwater now?
He's still with Clearwater, but yeah,
The only other thing,
and he's in
and
Tilton,
Is Clearwater Matt?
yes,
people may not want to do it,
right.
but
I'll
I'm
give you
just gonna
some-
throw it out there, there is, the other option is to brick off those windows. There's other windows, I think, in the town hall, and down there have been bricked off, and just fill it right in. The casements are rotted out on the bottom part of them. We've got one cracked and broken window. How do we feel about just breaking them off, waterproofing them, and bringing the pavement right up to the building?
so that is a storage room now, climate controlled.
Yep.
It would probably be better not to have windows in it because we have climate control in it. So the question would be,
Safety
are you ever
doesn't
gonna have
work.
people in there again? Because we did it one time, that was the police department,
That's
and we had
senior.
youth assistants down there at one
As
time.
say Jeff,
Or we never
Yep.
could.
it's him.
Right, I don't see any
Oh, okay.
contact information. Just say
No,
hello with a
they
wave.
could- They'd have to go outside, just, or come up here to serve. So that's the question,
So
I
you
think
want
that's a
Jeff's
very good
number?
point.
I got
His
it.
daughter, so you probably pull it up off my.
Save the granite pieces from the windowsill, put those in the
She just pushed
cell
the
down the
button and
basement,
went to
everyone,
water
open them up, and brick them right off. It might be
32337.
more economical, better for the building,
Better for heat.
better for heat, safer so it doesn't get broken into down there. We got,
So blocking it completely off,
Bricking them up,
just bricking
doing
it
away
right
with
up?
them.
Because they just collect trash and leaves and,
Would we ever use that at all as offices downstairs at all, do you think, in the
No.
future? I can't see it, but would you ever?
No, because then we'd have to find a place for all those files to be stored, and we don't. We're moving up here. You have the potential for 2 offices up here, because you still have the back area, and you could put, the stairs are still there, just, we already have it looked out.
So that if you brick them,
And it's got its own
you can
bathroom.
fill it and pave it.
Right up to it,
Yeah.
pitch it away
What do
from
you
it.
think, Peter?
Who's gonna fill it and brick it?
well, just as,
We'd have to call a mason. Filling it's no problem once it's bricked. You tell the
There's-
mason what you intend to do. These
Wow.
walls are doubled.
But isn't that the same as the people that do the chimney work?
Pointing.
There's a one over in Northfield
It's
that,
mason,
that did the,
it's a brick mason.
yeah,
Not a
Northfield.
concrete mason.
Or a stone mason?
Murphy?
We don't like
Same
to dabble over the line.
right, that's what we said earlier. That's the
But, yeah,
son.
the son, he came over. I believe that's the one that came over to my chimney when we bought the house.
So Peter, what do you think about
Did we
bricking up the
done?
windows?
He gave us
As
an
long as
estimate.
you, sounds like you're gonna be several days then that there's no rent.
Either way, I think we get several days with.
Well, you're adding more days. The contractor, I think, would be a day or 2. Because he would probably have it prepped and do it in one day. and-
Well, but we could have the brickwork done, we'd have to have the brickwork done before the paving.
Correct.
So it wouldn't be holding up the
Anything.
paver.
But are you gonna have to pull the rent to do your brickwork, fill in the hole and all that? Because the other thing is, I'd like to see what the sub-base is, because when you have different materials under the pavement, they react differently under frost. So if we could try to match as close, if it's crushed gravel, then they should use gravel as
We'd
opposed to
have
ledge
to make
path.
sure that that was compacted, probably every 6 inches.
At least wouldn't get much weight over there.
Well, will you contact the masons, ask them, do they need the ramp out, can they do it without the ramp in, blah, blah, blah.
Josh Dunlop is
You know,
stone.
if we want to do brick it or dig it.
He does more. I think stone.
I'd
Brick it or
brick
fix
it.
it.
Might
Hate to do it, but it's
Know somebody.
probably the
Yeah,
best.
yeah, he
for
I
the
think
building.
it's best
Tell
for
you.
the building.
Won't have to worry about water getting in there again and.
I make a motion, we eliminate the windows in the basement and the School Street side and brick them up, fill them in, and pave up to the building. Is that it?
I'll second that.
Discussion. Is that motion good?
Yeah.
All those in favor? Motion on
Aye.
the table.
Sure.
Yes. Opposed?
Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you. The other thing that's part of this project, did everybody get a copy of J.P. Carter Electric's
Ouch, yes.
Yes.
price on the conduit?
Ask you that.
I did ask some others, but they never responded to giving me an estimate for it. I suspect the job wasn't big enough for appealing, but I've also just experienced that with some estimates for the park commissioners. I thought people needed work out there.
What type,
Not this year, I guess.
which work are you,
The excavating in the ball field for the ball.
that's so, well, who are you asking?
I called Mike Reardon.
Still on the small side for him, so if he's
That's what I
busy.
thought, so I did get a couple, but they're newbies, which is fine. But usually I get a great response for back there. But anyway, did everybody get a copy of that bill?
Yes, and I'm fine with that, Bill.
I didn't.
Wasn't it 13 something?
It's also in the FYI file folder. Did you get it, Peter?
Somewhere. When did you
It was in
send it?
FYI.
Why don't you send this down to Peter, because I've seen it.
And I haven't looked at it, it came through email, I got the invoice for
Yeah,
the
it's worth it.
plumbing work
Yeah,
for the
that's-
front park.
That seems
Off the
pretty,
top of my head, it's like around 300.
it's not cheap hardware. Just doing
Which
it
I
right.
thought was pretty reasonable because it was 2 guys.
I thought it was too, I was surprised, actually.
Did I send you that invoice?
I talked to Brock, or Brock told me.
Okay.
He's very good about letting me know what's going on in the park. Yeah, I thought he was very thorough on this.
I say go with it. So moved.
So seconded. Any more discussion? All those in favor of the motion on the table?
Aye.
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 Opposed?
Oh, I'm an aye, I'm sorry.
Motion carries.
She's an aye
All
tonight,
right,
just
Joyce, will you please let Josh know that we've accepted his
Yes.
proposal? Will you provide him with the contact information for Breton so that that work can be coordinated?
Yep,
And also let the Public Works Director know?
yep. And I had already let Josh know Breton was the contractor
Okay,
for the job, okay.
all right. Also, did all of the selectmen get a copy of this cover sheet for the deeding and the liens?
I believe so.
Is it in our book?
It's in
Yeah.
your book.
Okay, I didn't
I just
look at
wanted to make sure that,
But I didn't copy
But we,
the amount.
This one?
yeah, that's why I asked
I
that the
want-
folder be prepared.
I want the amounts.
So
Yep.
if you want the amounts, of course, they'll do it for you, but if not, they're gonna be in this folder, you can grab it anytime from the office and take a look and study and,
What-
I would appreciate it as it changes, if you'd leave the old information,
Yep,
just, I like that.
What does the triple asterisks stand for?
that she spoke with Peter Graves about them. Those are in mobile home parks.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, usually you put oh, yeah, it's up in the top, I've opened up dialogue,
Huh?
usually it's at the bottom, but
I asked her the same thing.
What?
she put it up here, the legend.
Oh, okay.
Usually it comes
Found it.
after.
I just found it.
Well, because I saw the first asterisk with CM equals commercial, H equals house, so, okay, there's one, where's
Yeah,
two, where's
she
three?
didn't follow the proper format. All right.
Okay.
All right, I think I'm done, and so please don't give me any more. This is more than enough right now.
Do we want to have a conversation about the tree streets and the proposal that came in from Stephen Burnock? Wait for Ashley, or?
One of the questions I had is he said that he starts his survey at 7 a.m. and ends at 7 p.m. I would think it would be better to start at 6 a.m. and end at 6 p.m. because you get people going to work and all that included there.
Well, it's, a lot of people are traveling back and don't get back in until around 7 p.m. If you look at, I live in the tree streets, and there's a significant amount of travel from 5 to 7 p.m. It doesn't, I won't walk my dogs from 5 to 7 p.m. I always go 7:30 around there, because the amount of traffic on those streets are tremendous. So I would agree with the till 7 p.m. because a lot of people, even if you're in Boston,
Start at 6.
So here's my question is, we own the device, why wouldn't we just leave it there for 24 hours?
When
I think it's different devices
Yeah,
that he's
he is
doing.
going and setting up all the streets at the
Right.
exact same time, and he can actually show the way the traffic flow went of each car. But I think if we could
I
bring it
didn't
back,
see that in this.
the way he explained it, I think that
We
was,
propose to conduct the 3 intersection counts. It says simultaneously.
but when you talked about the traffic flow, and when you showed it automated,
So do we want to bring this up now or wait for Ashley?
I think that would be wait for Ashley.
think about the
Personally.
6.
I agree, I
Take
just
it
wanted
back
to
1
ask.
hour. Like, 6 till 7 at night.
Okay. Okay. All right, Peter, do you have anything for us tonight?
Let's see, this Saturday at is it 10 o'clock is the third annual Walk for Addiction Awareness. The walk's going to be done to help out Teen Challenge, who has helped out several local young adults in the past. I believe it is starting at the high school, and we'll be going through some of the tree streets in downtown. The chief will be there. We'll have details. I think that's it.
Pat?
I do. I just want to ask the question about recycling bins. We promised the Peter Graves area in Country Meadows that when the snow melted that we would get back to them, we would give back to them what we took. Is there a plan, a solid plan to get them back, or?
Well, originally I thought we would just do it when Tony was delivering the MSW bins.
That's not for another month.
And also because we have to do, right, and we also have to do Jensen's too. We have to order bins.
That's additional. I'm talking about what we took away from
Yeah,
people.
we can do that.
Could we get that done?
Yeah, we'll have to,
Public Works?
I don't mind being a part of that. I'll
yeah.
go help if that means
Well,
helping.
it just means, we have to, highway can pressure wash them. And then we'll have to have somebody, it took 2 loads using that big,
Trailer.
not trailer, it was a U-Haul truck. But we've got a big trailer.
We got a big trailer.
Just put them on that.
Like put it on
I
the
don't
back of the
mind.
truck that tows the trailer.
But even if it helps out, I don't mind if
Yeah.
they take them out from where they are. If they set them up, I don't mind pressure washing them.
Let's be very
I have no
accurate
problem with it.
Which
And that's the other thing.
in recording
Yeah.
I
the
would-
number that goes to
Yeah.
the home.
I would really like to get them back because I'm getting some phone calls on them.
Well, we need to have Public Works schedule that, right?
Yeah.
All right, so make that,
Everybody
make
agree?
that a
Oh, yeah.
priority.
Yep.
Would you please, thank you.
So
The-
if I get the excused.
Before I answer this question, do we want to take a vote or consensus on having Tim Bernier file the Mylar at Belknap County?
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes?
So moved?
Yes.
So moved, so seconded, vote?
Yes?
Yes.
Yes.
Opposed? Motion carries. Tim Bernier filed the
Yeah, I didn't
Mylar.
have that on my list.
No, but I put it on mine after I saw your email. Does anybody object to Joyce
No,
being
no.
excused?
Aye.
Spending most of my day in the basement of the PD.
It's not a
Oh,
pleasant-
so when we move your office down in the basement here, you'll be good to go?
Take the windows away.
So I've gotten a couple of phone calls, and just for the public, just so that they know I'm saying this out loud, because in case other people are still experiencing this, not all the streets got swept. And the Mike Rabbit's truck,
We need to get something better than this.
I think blew an engine or something went wrong with the engine anyway, but it
I might be a little late.
got
Okay.
brought to the highway, and Mike Rabbit's
You'll fill me in?
picked it up, and now it's being worked on. I've gotten a couple of phone calls from people on Cedar Street because you really can't work you really can't walk on the sidewalk because the dirt is pretty built up, and I got phone calls saying, when is the street sweeper coming? And I told them, and the street sweeper came and only finished like one side. Now they're all calling to say, well, it's not finished, it's not finished. So if anybody's out there and you have a street that's only half done, it's because they're working on the truck, and I've already spoken to the Public Works Director, and they are going to finish it. So that being said, I also have an issue with today. Yesterday I drove down High Street by the brook and then to Chestnut Street, and there was a gentleman right on the corner with a blower, not a backpack blower, but a blower, blowing all of their dirt and sand and leaves into the road on High Street. So I said, well, you know what, maybe he's doing that so he can get it into a pile and he'll clean it up and so be it.
Optimistic.
Yeah, very optimistic.
But as I was coming to the meeting tonight, number one, the dirt was not picked up on High Street, but now he was in the front of his house doing the same thing onto Chestnut Street. These are streets that were just swept.
That needs to be reported to the police, and they need to go speak with them, because that is illegal. That is specifically illegal. You cannot move your debris into the street. It creates a public hazard.
All right, so if you're one of those, please don't do it. The other issue I have is that something, I feel personally, I feel that we need to do something about the people that stand on a corner. And I spoke with the chief yesterday. I'm not talking about the veteran that stands and says, I'm a veteran and I'm out of money, and he just stands there and does nothing, and people stop and give him things. I'm talking about, yesterday I drove a senior to Market Basket, and on the way out by TD Bank, there was very clearly someone that had just gotten off a bus, because there was 5 or 6 suitcases piled up on TD Bank's lawn, and there was a cardboard box sign that said, I'm totally broke, I need money, and she was very decked out with pierced jewelry and things like that, which now I'm not against, but you could see that in purple hair and all that kind of stuff, and she clearly was approaching the vehicles, which is illegal to do, so that's why I called the police. But there's nothing from stopping them from standing there with the sign begging at our corners of the street on the sidewalks. And I just, for me, if they wanted to stop at the corner of Maple Court and Cedar Street and place all of their belongings on my property, I have an issue with that. Now, TD Bank kind of let them slide a little bit, but is there going to be another business that they do that to, or, you know, the corner, whatever? I think that we're going a little bit far when they just get off the bus and they go to a corner, a busy corner, and start begging. I really have a problem with it. And I know people are having hard times, but I have an issue with it.
I came over here to look for, oh, here it is. A few years ago, the captain came to us to create a panhandling ordinance.
Remember.
And it was in 2015.
Yeah.
So he gave us, here's a copy of Rochester's, Concord's, and I think Concord's was challenged, but this is a draft that he created I have in here.
I think a couple of them got challenged in the last few years.
Mm-hmm.
Because the fire departments would do their boot drives, or the high school would do a collection drive, you know, like the toll booths and things like that.
There was a discrimination. Civil Liberties Union, okay, here they challenged Rochester's. That's what this is, Civil Liberties, Rochester Panhandling Ordinance. So the Civil Liberties wrote.
I don't
copy
want to
of
stop
that.
them from doing the boot drive, but it is kind of the same thing. But
Yeah.
this is specifically, you don't see these people around town at all. And when they
No,
come up with six,
transient.
right,
And as a result of that, Rochester repealed their ordinance in 2014. But my conversation, so here's one from Concord. I'm looking to see the date to see if it was after. I don't have a date on it, I'm sorry. But that's the only way we're going to resolve it, is to try to write something that isn't discriminatory. And as I talked to Ryan back then, I remember what we hit on was, is it a safety issue? Are they stopping traffic? Are they impeding traffic? And then I said to him, well, can't you, cite them for, causing a safety issue in the highway? And he said, well, yes, but
They can't approach the vehicles, that's a safety issue. They cannot block the sidewalk, that's a safety issue.
so what I'm saying is we could write an ordinance, but we'd have to be really careful. Oh, look, I came across a 4-year purchase plan for police cruisers.
I guess apparently in, I'm looking, I think it was this year, there's been a court battle going on with Concord, so we should check and see how they're doing
On their panhandling?
on the panhandling.
Do you think perhaps maybe it would be,
April of 2016, so maybe we
Okay.
can see how they,
do you think maybe we could ask Jesse to kind of render an opinion or something, or maybe come up with something?
Maybe that would be, maybe you're hitting on something, maybe the captain should work with Jesse to create one that
That would fit
that
our,
isn't discriminatory.
Well, we'll check with other locations to see
I mean, he would be more,
recent ones that haven't been challenged, or challenged ones that succeeded.
yeah, this was April of 2016, so possibly it went to the court, we can see. We want to make sure we do it.
Okay.
okay. And,
As liaison, do you want to talk to them about that?
sure,
Does everybody agree?
Sure.
okay.
Yes.
Get her done.
Thank you, Pat.
All right, and tomorrow, Saturday is the Helping Seniors. There's been a couple of changes, so they've added a couple groups. So they'll be out on Saturday morning at 8:45 to 11:30 around town. The Tilton School, I should say. Thank you.
Have we ever, I know this is something probably done exclusively by the prep school, but have we ever considered in having the public school seniors partner in that endeavor?
They do.
They have in the past.
Yeah, they do.
Student
The
council.
the student council does it in the fall with us. Tilton School does a couple of different groups, and depending on how many they have in each group, dictates what they can do, like repair work, small repair work, painting, or things like that. The student council does quite a lot of work in the Jensen areas because it's easier to and concentrate on that area of work, or behind Walmart, where they can just easily bus over. Iris Iano does a lot of, she's our spokesperson for that
Do
with the
they
school.
also include the disabled?
Yes, disabled and seniors.
How is it marketed?
The program was long before, this is not something that we've
Oh, no, I know
generated.
this has been going on, but how do they market it? How do they let the general public know that it's available and it exists?
I think by hearsay and what we've done at selectmen's meetings, we've picked up a few that from the senior center, also Northfield, because Tilton School goes over to Northfield. There's one that we've picked up over there and put on the list. Cindy Reinhartz did it for years and years downstairs, and that's so she kind of felt the people coming in and out and worked with Tilton School, and then I took it over when I became selectman, and it's been an ongoing list. And as people either move or pass away, we add people to the list. There's certainly a lot of work done.
2 people that could,
Yeah,
an elderly, one disabled.
and they could use it, yeah. just get with me and, because either with the Winnisquam School Student Council or with the Tilton School, they have several groups, the ski club, the student council, and also their senior help and senior program, so. And then in between time, youth assistant always is a good a good group in between time that will help out when we can't get enough people to help.
Well, I'm wondering if we could put some kind of notice downstairs or on the kiosk that stays there that lets people know that these programs exist for the elderly and disabled, and that they could actually submit their names, addresses, and contact information to administrative office, or I don't know what, the tax collector.
Yeah, she's gotta be willing to be able to do,
Would
submit that, yeah.
take that information or not, so that, you know, say in the fall, people go, oh, somebody to rate my leave, somebody to, whatever.
The only thing with that is then you get to a list where you have to turn people away, and that's kind of sad at that point.
Well, I know, but on the other hand, you could be missing somebody that sorely
Oh, I agree with
needs
you.
the help.
Trust
so,
me, I've gone
you
out
would-
myself and done it.
Yeah, you would have to weigh. I know, I was over in Northfield picking up somebody's leaves one
Yeah.
year.
Right.
I thought, wow, it's nice that we extend beyond our boundaries. All right, anything else, Pat?
I think that's it for me.
Okay, I had something I was gonna bring up. Most of what I have is for next week. We have to think about, the housing committee members that we have yet to appoint, the, selectmen, the tenant, and the landlord. And I'm gonna come back to that in a minute. Hawkers and peddlers. I'm proposing that we change our hawkers and peddlers and go back to similar to what we had before. We have an entity that's pretty well set up a business in town without site plan or any type of review. And they're doing that for $50 a year.
They did it previous year, last year too, right? That's the one I'm thinking.
But wasn't that, didn't we not change that, Catherine, about a couple of years ago for that same reason that there was peddlers at the Tanger Outlet that wanted, they had, one was selling hot dogs, another one was selling something else, and they were there for the whole season. It wasn't cost effective, so we took another look at it and said, yeah, you know what, it might be right, so we changed it. So
I wasn't in favor of it, so it'd be hard for me to speak to it. I was adamantly opposed to $50 for a year. Or what are we now?
how did it get changed?
Board of Selectmen changed it.
Well, I'd like to know the vote on that one then.
$25 fee, hawkers and peddlers per month, or $50 for the year. Well, gee, I think I'd go for the year.
So the old one was $25.
No, that's what we currently do now.
Well, what was the one before this one?
The old one was $50 a month.
That's not bad.
I have copies of, and I will bring it up next week for Ashley's benefit, but I suggest you look at other communities. A lot of them have flat fees. This one, for example, I think is, let's not use my memory, it's rusty, it's Portsmouth. It's $250 if they're here for a week.
I think
It's
that's,
$250.
they've got a lot of that vacation type people, and
Right.
they wanna keep it down.
So now what
This
is,
is Londonderry's. They're $50 a day. I mean, I'm sorry, a month.
do we exclude those people like on Old Home Day that set up a stand up here, up at
We-
Riverfront? Did we exclude those?
We have always, I don't remember a time the Board of Selectmen didn't
So what about Summer
make an
Day?
exception for Summer Fair, Old Home Day, and the Christmas event. Although the Christmas event, I don't think the park commissioners, they haven't allowed vendors for quite a while at the Christmas event. Because remember one year they did, but there was a lot of debris left over in the park from it.
The only vendor now is fireworks.
Right. But we've always given them those. I don't know what this one is. But I would suggest you look at it and that we change it back, because to allow somebody to set up a business in town for $50 is a slap in the face to every single business that's coming to town and has to go through the
Overhead.
expensive site plan.
Yeah.
I agree with you, but I think we need to really think about this as a long term and look at it for everybody and not just, you know, the situation that we've got up here.
Oh, no,
on
I'm just
the-
using that for an example. I mean, I predicted it. Here it is. They're on a site that doesn't have running water or septic or sewer. It struck me. Yep, moving right along. I sent you my suggested additions, changes to the housing ordinance. So if we could go over those next week. I also created a illegal dumping ordinance.
We have nothing that covers illegal
No.
dumping.
And people think that...
The trash one doesn't cover it. I didn't-
No, and people think that the Department of Environmental Services Solid Waste Division has an administrative rule or law that governs it as well. They do not. They look to the health offices to go and determine whether it is a nuisance. Well, they do create a nuisance and a danger to the public health. Appliances, I think, that are pre-1979, and I have a couple of those, give off, yeah, the electric, polyvinyl, whatever they are, into the earth. Refrigerators and freezers give off fluorocarbons, and the plus, it goes on and on and on. Breeding grounds for mosquitoes. So if you would take a look at that, I wrote it as a separate ordinance. RSA 147 gives the health officer authority to create those types of ordinances. I believe there's a public hearing involved and approval by the Board of Health or Board of Selectmen. So if you would scrutinize that, and please know it is a draft. If you see some language that looks a little strange, because I freely admit, like most public officials, I did plagiarize other people's documents. Thank you, Town of Northfield. I used some of theirs. But it's a huge problem. I'm dealing with one now that I got DES involved because there is also some garbage in the wetlands. And this property abuts Buffalo Park.
So will this address the situation that we have up on, is it One Winter, the White House?
Yes.
Or is it Main Street? Because they had like 20 bags out there that are...
No, the littering ordinance handles that. When you said Winter Street, I was thinking of the house that's being remodeled. There still is, and I've dealt with that since the day I became a selectman with Joe Plesner, but there's still a garbage dump out behind the house. As you go by it, as you just pass it, if you look to the right, you'll see an old toilet and whatnot still piled out there.
Oh, okay.
But the developer has assured, I was up there with him, assured us that he will clean it up. I have found two, so I was just looking at a local trailer park in town where there's a huge problem. Huge. It's probably the worst I've seen.
Dumping of what type of things?
Yeah, it's awful cold.
Okay,
Pardon?
Dumping of what type of things?
everything.
You name it, paint cans, appliances,
Oh,
furniture.
literally dumping
Mattresses,
trash,
box
not just like
springs.
leaves
Oh,
or
yeah,
anything.
I have pictures of it, I'd be glad to show you, but yes.
Why don't you name something, John, and we'll tell you if it's on it or not, because most of it's already up
I
there.
was there a
Old
couple of
toilets.
days ago, and that's the first thing that came to me was that kind of dumping.
Oh, it's horrible.
It's horrible.
And it-
I have one now that I actually have two I've discovered, and I haven't acted upon them. They've been there for a while, but I'd rather have this ordinance in effect. So there's nothing subjective. It's cut and dry. It's illegal. you're responsible, you own the property, clean it up. So if you'd look at that, I'd appreciate it. Going back to the housing committee, selection of those 3 members. Pat offered to be on the committee. So the ones we need to choose is a selectman, a landlord, and a tenant. So Pat is both a selectman and a tenant.
No,
A landlord. Sorry, you haven't been a tenant for a while. She's now a landlord. So if we choose her to be,
technically, I'm a selectman, technically Kim is the landlord.
oh, good.
The house is only in Kim's name.
I was going to suggest if we appoint her as the selectman representative, then that means there's only 2 selectmen on the committee. If we appointed her as the landlord representative, we would still have to choose a selectman, and that would put 3, which is, okay, see where I'm going with that?
Yep.
So if we choose her again as the selectman representative, that leads us to choose a landlord and a tenant. So, I know lots of those, but
I really want to be on the police committee, so
Were there names that were collected
beware,
by Chuck?
beware of that.
no, this
I
is
thought he collected some.
I don't think so, this is a selectmen's committee.
He collected it when he collected a
People
lot
said
of
they
names.
wanted to be on it.
Wanted to be on it when the original committee to create the housing ordinance, he had names, and he turned away some names that wanted to be on the housing ordinance committee to create an ordinance. But this is the committee that's going to oversee
Overlook.
the enforcement kind of
Well,
thing.
kind of, sort of.
Yeah.
It's an interesting role to play, but I think it's a good one, because it gives another perspective.
Right.
The makeup of it will be very, very, very good. I'll get in touch with Chuck and see if he has any more of those contacts. That might be helpful, but if you know of any tenants,
Marian Abbott had
Our landlord.
stressed a interest in, and she was a tenant that was on
so she's not a landlord as well, she's just a
She's a
tenant?
tenant only,
Well, then why don't we,
at Steady's place over here.
yeah, would you contact her and see if she's still interested in
Mhm.
serving on that? Okay, the disorderly action ordinance, we need to deal with that next week. I can tell you that the logger is functioning, using his equipment. So we really should look at that and think about adjusting those times,
There was one more
especially on
part
the
to it
weekend.
that I want people to think about on that.
Go ahead, I'm done.
Okay, on that, it was snow blowers. The other thing that it allows for is people to plow snow and public works to do type things. But I was also wondering, let's say the power goes out and people have generators. Are they allowed to run their generator?
Mm-hmm. That's an
It's an
emergency
emergency
situation.
Specifically an emergency, or remedial emergency
It
power
does.
tool use.
Um,
Well, we'll talk about it next week.
Yeah.
Take a look through that. And the other thing is a pump, like a water pump. Let's say your basement gets flooded. It's only a personal emergency or something, but you got, what do they call them, trash pumps or something? You got to run one of them or the sewer,
Burn post.
So that was the only thing I had with that. I was trying to figure out, how does that get covered?
It's very interesting.
The other thing on my reports is that I briefly discussed with Catherine about statue cleaning. Again, it's getting near that time. I've got some leftover stuff for give Mabel a bath, and Donis or the others up here with the appropriate bright stuff. And I asked Catherine about cleaning of the Squantum statue, who came back with the information. Wait a minute, I'll get it. And apparently, and I read through it a good number of times, and that should be actually maintained yearly and recoated with the wax and cleaned with the special soap every year. And what that does is it protects it, and it also helps out because if somebody was to spray it with graffiti and you have that nice wax coat, blah, blah, blah. So sometime in the next few weeks or month, I'm going to, if the selectmen would entertain it, I'm going to see if I could get some volunteers to do that and follow the exact strict procedure and rule with the right materials, and I would oversee it.
It was recommended that, I believe it's recommended in there that that all be overseen by a curator. Well, I don't know if anybody's ever hired a curator, but I can tell you it's quite costly. The price just to get one here
Yeah.
and to do it.
I dubbed
So the-
John a curator.
Yeah, so the Board of Selectmen that I've served on in the past were never willing to go to that expense. I
Yeah.
mean, at one point, the estimate we had was like, I know it was over $2,000 for the travel to come up and look and the travel to oversee
Yep.
and to be here. I just thought I thought it was pretentious, quite frankly. So I wanted to make sure you're aware of that, but I agree with Peter. I have every confidence that you're quite capable of taking care of that for us, and I really appreciate you volunteering to do that.
Does the,
I'll help in any way I can.
I can say
Does the-
research.
does the Civil War monument need anything?
I think that is
The
the
Civil
same.
War monument, I believe, was done by David Court. And I don't know of any file. I was involved with Squantum. In fact, I was the one who delivered him to the fellow in Maine who had him repaired. And I found the book. I'm looking at it now. It's on my shelf down in the basement a number of years ago, and was quite disappointed and brought it back up here to life. So it is over there. If it clearly says Quantum on it, so if you need to reference it, please do.
And I'm
But
really
to
happy
answer
with
your
the
question
procedures.
on Civil War, I'm sorry I rambled off. We probably should consult David Court on what type of maintenance he requires. There might be something down in the archives of the basement, but I can't tell you.
Anybody also do some research and stuff like that? I like to get overwhelming amount of information and.
I have
sort through it.
tons of information on statues and whatnot.
But all of them, I noticed they say to use special soap, soft brush. You don't want to use tap water, it's bad for it, it's got
Yep.
chlorine in it.
Yep.
Well, my tap water doesn't, but
Well, we might be bringing buckets. And gently wash it and rinse it, and then of course let it air dry, and all of them use the same thing. It was was it butcher's or bowling alley wax?
It's,
That you
yeah,
carefully brush in,
as long as it's
working.
clear.
clear, yeah.
Yeah.
And
long as
if
it's
necessary,
clear.
buff with a very soft shoe brush.
But I didn't think you're supposed to put wax on marble.
Not on marble, no.
Not on
That's
marble.
just leave it alone.
Just
But
these nickel and
the bronze said the same thing, and that's a zinc statue.
the zinc, that's what I write, zinc.
So, yeah, it's probably, 15 years since, so I'd like to get done this year, and before I do anything, I'll put exactly what I'm going to do. So
That was a
everybody,
good time.
it'll be fun.
All right, anyone else?
Memorial Day, did we do away with doing a wreath over there, or are we gonna order a wreath?
shouldn't we talk to
What we
the
did
Legion?
was, instead of us putting one there and the Legion, we made sure that the Legion planned on putting one there, and we didn't, because it seemed like we were, I don't know, doubling up or
Stepping on their parade.
Right, I
stepping
agree.
on their parade, thank you.
Is that something that we should start to?
Gail, could you contact them and just make sure that they're going to do that? I can't imagine that they're not, but let's make doubly sure and let them know that.
Didn't the chief last year say something about increasing the parade, that it wouldn't be just the Legion, that he would do something about?
They did, and I think we challenged him to go ahead and go forward with those plans. I don't know if he has.
I'll question it.
Gail, when you talk to them, will you make sure that they understand that the flags out here, I installed those pieces of pipe. I did that so the flags could be seen above the foliage. But make sure they understand those are their flags, and I put them there for their use.
Last weekend,
Because I noticed the flags are torn.
I took another yard sale sign out of that area. Now, I did put it up on the School Street side here. I spoke to the people that were having the yard sale, and they were okay with it because they understood. In all of my years that I've been here with as a selectman, I will remove every single one of them that are placed on there because that
It's
is,
a memorial.
it is a memorial to the people that have served and
Yes,
kept this
thank you.
country and fought for the very freedom that we can have yard sales. And we should not be putting a yard sale sign on those monuments.
It's facing.
It's defacing that
It is.
service. So,
take 'em
and I
out.
will remove every single one of them.
Thank you. I take them out of the truss because we now have bulbs in there.
You want them secured.
Last two I took out, they had a bulb attached to them. So, I just relocated it up by Cumbies. Before I forget,
All on Catherine's.
the chief asked to come in next week with the captain to talk about the cruiser purchase. Is that all right with everybody?
Well, we have,
Public hearing.
we've got the public hearing is the 18th, but now we have, what we just settled tonight. What was that earlier that we just had?
Talk about the money.
MCG?
MC&G
Well,
to,
no, I thought we were just gonna have a
That's-
non-public at the end of the meeting with Ashley. Nobody's coming in.
And then go from there. Yeah.
So if we had them come in at 5, it shouldn't
it's
take
about
more,
a half hour.
it shouldn't take more than half an hour, don't you think? So what do you think? Get it done and over with?
So 5, Chief and Ryan.
So everybody look at your
Non-public and
estimates.
Do we know that they haven't already bought it? Just thinking.
Didn't want to ask that, but it's a good point.
The estimates go out as a file electronically?
I'm sorry?
Did they go out, emailed out to us?
What's that?
I have a note on here that these have been scanned. These are your paper copies from Joyce.
I didn't see any estimates that are,
4/25/17 is the date on this. So they
can you
put the
send us
drive.
So what is it called?
the,
Cruiser bids?
these are the cruiser
Right.
quotes.
They might be in the drive.
Yeah, make sure they're on the drive. It's a one to.
This is the estimate. Where's the FYI?
And that they, hope they all match
Yeah.
the same thing.
Are you signing all these things?
I thought
You're
I
asking for a lot.
signed all of these.
All right, what are we gonna do about
Time folder.
these two things here? Number one, we need to find out, I'm gonna speak with the chief tomorrow about the mirror. There's a mirror that's broken on the 5A. I wanna find out what happened. And then, the cleaning, I'm gonna find out, but then
There are two.
and then I'll put, I'm actually gonna see Brock tomorrow morning. I'll ask him about the drill bits. Okay.
And the car parts, I really.
The car parts, I'm speaking with the chief tomorrow on.
I think we
I
should send
texted him, I got a
them-
meeting with him at 1.
I think we should send a letter stating that all purchases for vehicles and repairs shall be done through our mechanic, period.
Okay.
Just so that we have traceability and records and we know what's been done or.
And it should be purchased in the town of Tilton and delivered to Highway, which would have had a Tilton address.
Yeah.
Gail, I think that that's something that
It's
very
just
simple,
something
that
that's
can,
put-
Gail can put on letterhead and then signed by all selectmen next week.
Yeah.
That all purchases for, any purchases for any vehicle maintenance whatsoever is going to be done by the mechanic or public works employee, period.
Director, yeah.
Director or mechanic.
I would-
Mechanic or his designee.
That's excellent. I would let them know also that we,
And then we can sign it next
we
week.
won't be reimbursing anybody but Public Works for car purchases, et cetera.
And then just under that, in the next sentence, in the future, nobody will be reimbursed for purchases thereafter.
Maybe we ought to find out why they were that, I mean, do they get a discount, do they have some kind of, you know?
No.
We get the discount,
Yeah, we
They
get the
don't.
discount, we don't get the warranty.
but we will, I will find out tomorrow on that, but we still need, you know, what John is saying,
It's Kevin's job, and it's
John, you need to sign
disrespectful
this.
of Kevin.
we need to have that letter in a file that says, Chief, this is what's happening. We really need, not as far as your agency is concerned, your department, this is no longer, nobody can do this. Even though they know about parts and so on and so forth, we want it done with this department and this department only. We don't want overlap.
And we want the benefit of having the warranty on the part.
Yes, that's very
Not
important.
the office,
I
not the
agree.
person who orders it.
Right.
The thing is record keeping and traceability for any type of vehicle maintenance in a fleet.
Yep. There's the pile. Anything else?
Oh, that's Elizabeth. You know that.
Oh, yeah, I see.
Motion to adjourn.
Okay, never mind.
Second?
Gotcha.
All in favor?
Aye.
Joe says? Vote with your feet.
With your feet.
You don't have to go home, but you can't stay here.